baiting is also designed to enrage. The president well understands the media will hysterically report every provocative thing he says. The press will wail and gnash their teeth, deep frowns on television, abundant shakes of the head. This is amusing to the president. Meantime, nothing is really accomplished by the media. Mr. Trump keeps poking it with things like Canada will be the 51st state, D-Day will take place in Greenland, and both of those things aren't going to happen. Meantime, the press keeps trying to kick Mr. Trump's football while it's snatched away at the last moment. This is actually amusing if you understand what's happening, but not to the nation's media. Back in a moment. Bill O'Reilly here. If you are stuck in a timeshare you no longer want, my friends at Lone Star Transfer can assist. Over the past 15 years, the family-owned company has helped more than 30,000 owners break free from their timeshares. They'll provide a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. So please call Lone Star Transfer 833-594-0079 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We'll kickstart this work week with a warming trend before our next shot of cold air arrives midweek. Mostly sunny and dry today, though, with a southwest wind pushing us up to about 53 for the afternoon high. Nice, mild January day. Clear skies tonight, down to about 38 for the early morning low. Tuesday, though, is the pick day of the week, looking at a high of 61 tomorrow afternoon with increasing cloudiness. And then again, those temperatures tumble on Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Let's get the conversation started, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
The Republicans have the majorities, but are the Democrats winning on the issue of health care? Well, maybe, based on what happened late last week. So where do we go from here? All right, I'm sure this is going to be another really wildly busy week in news. Hey, good morning, Mike Ferguson here. Okay, so at the end of last week, the U.S. House passed a bill to renew and extend the Obamacare subsidies, one of the key elements that have been driving up the cost of health insurance for millions of people around the country. Now, the Republicans around here did the right thing and voted against that, but enough Republicans broke off and went with the Democrats to do that. What happens in the Senate on that remains to be seen. But what does this actually mean about the bigger picture? Well, on Friday's show, Phil Kerpen, who works with American Commitment along with Stephen Moore and some of the other heavy hitters economically, was on the program giving us his take on that, not just on the economics of it, but the politics of it as well.
So the House passing a renewal and a 3-year extension of the Obamacare subsidies. Now, it's got to go through the Senate. It's got to go through the president. We can talk about the chances of that happening here. 17 Republicans joined. So the Republicans have the majority in the House, and yet they pass this Obamacare subsidy extension, which is exactly what the Democrats shut the government down over just a few months ago. What's your read on what they have passed? Is it just lock, stock, and barrel, resume what was there and keep it going? Congressional Budget Office says this is billions of dollars in extra cost to the government and taxpayers.
Yeah, Mike, this is pretty pathetic. They signed, there were 4 Republicans that signed the Democrats' discharge petition, and the way that discharge petition was written, it basically let the Democrats put any bill they wanted on the House floor. Let me repeat that. 4 Republicans agreed to let the Democrats put any bill they wanted on the House floor. They got to write the bill, put it on the House floor. Essentially, Democrats controlled the U.S. House of Representatives yesterday. It was a Democrat majority functionally for that day because of that discharge petition. And the bill that they put forward was essentially the Chuck Schumer bill. It was a one-page bill that just changed the dates on the expiration of the COVID-era enhancements to the Obamacare subsidies, the supersized subsidies. It changed them from expiring in 2025 to expiring in 2028. That's it. It didn't change anything else, which is to say there are no income limits at all. There are no minimum payments, and there are no anti-fraud measures of any kind, which I find incredible. incredible because we just had this GAO report that came out that said 32% of all of the subsidy payments in Obamacare went to Social Security numbers that could not be reconciled with IRS records. 32%, one-third essentially. They found 66,000 Social Security numbers were used by more than one person on Obamacare. They found one Social Security number was being used by 77 people. And so, if you can look at that report and then, I don't think we should have these massive subsidies anyway. I think it's been a failed program. But if you believe in them, that's your philosophy, whatever, okay, I can understand that. But how can you look at that report and say we don't need to change a thing? We don't need any fixes. We don't need any reforms. We don't need any anti-fraud measures. Let's just do exactly what we were doing for 3 more years. And I was kind of shocked that Democrats were even taking that position. I thought they'd at least say, here are a few changes we want. We're going to put some income limits on, some minimum payments. Here are a few anti-fraud. I thought they were going to have some nods towards fixing something if they were going to extend this, and they didn't. And then I was even more shocked that 17 Republicans were fine with that. And so, look, if you'd asked me before yesterday, I would have said, the 4 who signed the discharge petition are going to vote for it. It's probably going to pass, but nothing's going to happen. The Senate already rejected it. And that's the other thing. The Senate already had a vote on this exact same bill when Schumer put it up, and it got 51 votes, but it needed 60. So, it was nowhere near passing in the Senate. But this is a pretty bad development, I think. 17 Republicans was way more than I thought would vote for something like this. I thought, they would have to do some sort of changes to at least pretend that they were dealing with the fraud. They did nothing, no changes at all. I don't know, Mike. I don't know what to tell you. I want to be optimistic, but it looks to me likely that they do some sort of a deal because it looks like a pretty decently sized segment of the Republican Party that's just running scared from this issue and rather cave than explain to voters what's wrong with the Democrats' position, which I find crazy because I think their position is easy to defeat in argument, but I'm not very optimistic.
Yeah, are we talking, we're talking midterm election, pressure because we're now getting this is going to drive up costs for, X number of people as though.
Yes, but the thing is, Mike, the subsidies have driven up costs to the moon. So, why don't we explain, look, if we stop throwing massive subsidies that the insurance companies just capture, then we'll get some real market pressure to bring down premium. It's like, yes, the Democrats and the media are making that argument, but they're obviously wrong. So, why are we so scared of having this debate? I don't know.
So, Phil, how about this? This is what the Democrats shut the government down over. So, are they being rewarded for the government shutdown? In this case, if the tactics worked, why wouldn't they do it again?
That's another really good point. Look, what I'm hoping is going on here is, and I have no specific knowledge that this is the case, but this is the optimistic scenario, is that leadership basically said, look, they want to use this as a huge political issue. You're the members who have the toughest races this year. Just vote for their thing. It's not going anywhere anyway. And, you can take that bullet out of their chamber, I guess, politically. And maybe that's what this is, and it's not going to change the contours of the debate in the Senate, which already rejected this bill. And, maybe this doesn't mean anything. That's the optimistic scenario. Yeah. But, the fact that they would rather have a bunch of people vote for it instead of engaging the argument, I find disappointing.
Yeah, and regarding the Senate, like I said, they've rejected it once. Now it's coming back. But is there some momentum built with that many Republicans who have, flipped over on the issue on the House? And new media attention. Democrats are obviously doing a victory lap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I think now the most likely scenario now is that they do some kind of an extension. I do not think it will be this bill that extends it with no reforms at all. I can't see Senate Republicans going for that. But I think you've got 5 or 10 or 15 Senate Republicans that want to say, okay, we'll do an extension, but we're going to bring back an income cap. It's not going to be the 400% of poverty level that snaps back under current law, but we're going to do 700% or something like that. Which, by the way, is way too high. It basically means everybody. It's a kind of a nod towards an income limit, but it's not an effective one. But I think they'll do some kind of an income limit that's way too high. They'll have some sort of a minimum payment that'll be way too low, and they'll ask some government agency to do another report and say we're addressing fraud. So I think they will probably now cave in some form or fashion. I don't think it'll be the 100% cave to the Schumer bill or what the House did yesterday, but I'm pretty concerned that it'll be some kind of cave that'll essentially, shovel billions of dollars of additional money to insurance companies that'll just keep raising prices as they've done in the past. And so what have you really accomplished?
Sounds like a Democratic win to me if that happens.
Yes, I think it would be. And to your point, it would reward them for linking a totally unrelated policy issue to funding for the government, which, we've always been very careful never to do in the past. And so I think there would be a very bad outcome. I hope that we can engage this public debate. And I know the White House really does want to take on the insurance companies and the big hospital systems and the big cost drivers in healthcare and bring more choice and competition, expand, to the extent we have subsidies. And I'm not a big subsidy guy, but if we're going to have subsidies, I agree with the president. It should be in an account that people own and control and can use not just for insurance products, but for care. Can use for direct primary care, can use for going, use to go and buy prescriptions or whatever else they want. I think if we could put the decision-making power in the hands of individuals and get some real competition on the provider side, that's the other thing that's been missing from this debate. Unfortunately, from Republicans as well as Democrats, we don't have enough supply. Excuse me. We don't have enough supply. We don't have enough doctors. We don't have enough clinics. We don't have enough competition. We've got these hospital systems that are gobbling up everyone and everything because they have the wherewithal to deal with all the regulation. We have insane federal payment policies that say if a physician's practice gets bought by a hospital system, now we pay more for the same patient visiting the same doctor in the same building just because a shingle was hung on the outside saying that now the physician's office is part of a hospital system. So we've got all of these insane policies. If we could really take those on, and I would preempt the state certificate of need laws also, because we've got half the states where you can't even open a new clinic or a new hospital or a new imaging facility unless you get permission from the incumbent that's already there. So think about what a supply restriction that is. But if we could expand supply dramatically, put the dollars and the decision-making power in the hands of individuals on the demand side instead of just throwing more and more money at providers and middlemen and insurance companies, I think we could really get much better health care and have a lower price and have a lot more choice. And what I've been urging Republicans to do is think bigger on health care. If this whole debate is just about who wants to throw more taxpayer dollars at it, you'll always lose to the Democrats. So make it about who wants to actually fix the problems that we have in healthcare, and then you can win.
So at least at this point, 2026, is it too late for the Republicans to come up with, no, here's a better policy, here's a better approach now that this subsidy has passed the House, and that's the issue of debate?
Well, not necessarily. They did pass a bill in December. It was not as ambitious as I would have liked, but it did have some very helpful things in the directions of what I've been looking for. And, so the House has passed two bills. They've passed a pretty good bill. And they passed a really bad one, the Democrat one. And so it's not really fair to say the position of the House is the one that the Democrats passed with a handful of Republicans. I think the House is conflicted, right? We've got a House of Representatives that is willing to do good deregulatory, empowering individual things on health care on party lines with basically all the Republicans. And they're also, unfortunately, willing to just throw more money at insurance companies with all the Democrats and, 17 Republicans. And so, the House, I think, is going to go along with anything the Senate bears, good or bad, is sort of my sense. And so, we got to hope that the Senate can deliver something that's worthwhile, or at least if they give us something bad, that it be attached to some good things, that we accomplish some things that are directionally going to actually give more choice and competition. And it maybe makes it a little easier to swallow throwing more money at the insurance companies. So, we'll see what the Senate can bear, but I think that the fact that so many Republicans were willing to go along with the Democrat bill in the House yesterday makes it, in my opinion, much more likely that the Senate actually does produce something as opposed to nothing. So we just have to try to influence it to have some positive elements.
Which means it's probably going to still cost us all much more money and not fix the problem, but Democrats have a victory.
It'll definitely cost us money, but maybe it'll help. Maybe it'll help with some real reforms, too. That's my hope. That's what we're going to be pushing for.
Yeah. All right, Phil Kerpen, American Commitment. Go ahead and give out the website, social media information. People want to follow you.
AmericanCommitment.org is the website. I also have a healthcare project I've been doing with Steve Moore and Thomas Phillipson. If people want to look at that, it's mostfavoritedpatient.org. And I'm always on X. It's my last name, Kerpen, Kerpen.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon, Phil. Thanks so much.
All right, as always, get involved in the conversation on our social media chats, Facebook, Rumble in particular. You can also give me a call, 314-912-1019. We are going to talk with Congressman Bob Onder about this entire situation at 7:35. Right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. We keep it on throughout
throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
NewsTalkSTL.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. That's 800-631-2030.
Serving my country required sacrifice. Sacrifice that changed my life forever. I remember the day I came home. Because of my injuries, this house wasn't right for me anymore. I remember the narrow doorways, the small bathrooms, the shelves out of reach when in my wheelchair. Every day was full of obstacles. I felt trapped. I remember a better day, the day my family received a specially adapted custom home from Homes for Our Troops. That day changed everything. Now we have a safe and accessible home to enjoy the freedom I fought for. This place, our home, is exactly what we needed to rebuild our lives.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives. Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
So apparently St. Louis is becoming Jumanji or something like that.
Yep.
Okay, we've got a lot of heavy stuff to go over, that without a doubt, including the whole protest thing against ICE and in favor of illegal aliens and all that. That comes to the St. Louis area again over the weekend. And it was a sizable protest, probably the exact same people who were in the Grove the other day, but we'll talk about that. And it was funny because I'm looking through the different TV stations just to see what TV coverage. Only one has their story posted. I'm sure all of them covered it, but it happened to be KSDK, which among all the stations is the most just ridiculously, obnoxiously left-wing in their coverage. I mean, they don't even pretend to be objective. So I've got kind of a funny clip from that. It is 5:50 right now. I'm Mike. That's Jerome. So monkeys and a goat. Apparently, as of this morning, I could not find anything that said they've been caught or they've been captured.
No, I'm keeping an eye out for them, but I haven't seen it yet.
Now, I've heard multiple reports say that 4 monkeys have been somehow released or escaped in the city, and they were looking at kind of the O'Fallon Park area in North City. City officials say we don't know if it's 4. It might be, but they said we don't know exactly how many monkeys there are. But there are monkeys running around in the metro area right now. These are, they're little guys. They're not that huge. But here's the thing, and we've got this in the news dump. Animal control is like, yeah, they're cute. Don't go try to pick them up if you see them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They look friendly enough.
They've looked that way.
Can they be trained to be service animals?
I have no idea.
I won't grab one then.
Yeah, I would not do that. Now the goat is, that's a pretty easy one. And actually, I saw a picture of it. Somebody spotted with a cell phone as it wandered off. It has got a collar on it. So this was like somebody's backyard goat.
It said, "Hey, I want to go hang out with the monkeys."
And then I think you put the picture up. Somebody did a graphic of like the monkeys and a goat doing a selfie. Was that in front of like the arch, and they did a cartoon of it? That was really funny.
Yeah, so there's an account out there right now that's just photoshopping them at some of the historic St. Louis sites. So it looks like, at least in this alternative narrative, they're doing some sightseeing.
It was funny. Years and years ago, I was in Columbia. I was doing an afternoon show there, and right in one of the towns right around Columbia, somebody's goat got loose.
Oh.
And and literally police were engaged in chases of this goat, and it kept escaping. And people were like on team goat, and they were like cheering for the goat to keep getting away. And they finally caught it, and the goat was so famous that year, and this was probably, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago. It was so famous that they actually put it in Mizzou's homecoming parade.
Wow.
It was like that was the goat before the goat became a slang term.
I'm not going to lie. I'm rooting for the monkeys in this case as well.
They're just, God knows what they're doing around St. Louis.
Some monkey business.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, we should grab that Skid Row song, Monkey Business. That's probably my favorite Skid Row song, but it's pretty hard and heavy. It says, oh, well. Anyway, so if you see a goat, just call animal control. Or if you see some monkeys, just call animal control, because apparently they're running around.
Or call me and I'll come pick it up for you.
There you go. Good Lord. Okay, we're going to cover this more. I've got a little bit of details in the news dump. Then I think 6:20, we're going to go into more depth on this. The affluent white left-wing protesters decide to do their thing again, and they were taking it to the streets. The streets. Matter of fact, here's how KSDK set up their story and introduced their story about covering the protest, the anti-ICE, anti-Trump protest here. Oh, crap. I got to plug in my thing here.
That would probably be helpful.
I hate it when I do that sort of thing here. All right. Yeah. All right. There we go. Oh, man, I hate it. I haven't done that one in a while. Okay. So here's how they set up the story on this, and this just cracks me up.
And hours ago, protesters hit the streets across the country, including St. Louis, in response to the shooting death of Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis last week. 5 on your side's Melanie Johnson reports from the front lines in Clayton, where hundreds filled the streets to say, ICE out for good.
The front lines in Clayton.
Oh, man.
The front lines in Clayton, because that's the front line.
I mean, where were all these protests in Minnesota over the fraud being exposed? Where were these people when Tashara Jones and people within her administration were caught embezzling money? I mean, this is the hill that they choose to fight on?
These people aren't going to actually go into the city.
Oh, of course not.
No. Somebody might mess up their nice luxury car. It was funny because when you look at the video of this in the picture, it is exactly what you would expect, exactly what we've seen. It's probably the same people who do all the No Kings nonsense. And it was the people who did the protest the other day in the Grove. It's the same people. It's the mix of the affluent white leftists. Mm-hmm. And it's also then your Party for Socialism and Liberation, because that chick was there as well. And so it's the same mix of like the dirty hippies and then the affluent white people. And it was just a sea of white. That's all it was. So I've got some more clips from this around 6:20 on it, but that it was just hard to not laugh at KSDK's story. Now, first of all, KSDK is the worst in town when it comes to news coverage. They are so blatantly just left-wing bias. It is just insane. And they're not to be taken seriously, but they were the only one that had the story posted on at least their YouTube pages that I can see.
That's how much of a non-story it was that they were the only ones that thought,
Yeah,
let's talk about this.
And if I were still in news, because I've worked in television news before, that's a news story. I would cover it, especially on a weekend. And the Melanie Johnson story, she did a decent job balancing out, okay, here's a quote from, Tom Homan and from Meet the Press, and here's what the president says. But the whole setup is like they're taking it to the streets. This is the people uprising. I'm like, no,
wow.
It's the same 200 or so,
retirees and unemployed people.
Webster Grove leftist, academics who complain about everything.
The awfuls and the NIMBYs.
Yeah, basically, that's exactly what it is. All right. So you got some thoughts, or if you have any sightings on the monkeys that are running around, just let us know. The number here is 314-912-1019. Oh, man. Everything from the president, the administration threatening Jerome Powell now.
Oh.
Criminally, which is something. And then the president also says we're going to tell credit card companies how much interest they can charge you. We're going to talk about that at 6:35. Then before you go, no, hold on. There's another side to that.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my favorite go-to store for seafood, gourmet goodness, and tons of wine. It's Stars, 1135 South Big Bend. A huge selection of seafood flown in from the coast. Lemon sole, halibut, Maryland lump crab, Gulf shrimp, and you gotta try the trout dip. Plus, imported and domestic hand-cut cheeses, lots of hand-picked wines at great prices, hard-to-find gourmet foods, and fresh roasted coffee using only the best quality beans. Stars, 1135 South Big Bend, just off of Highway 40.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. That's 800-439-7851. People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
KLDY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. He is suggesting that he is a victim of political persecution. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, who's Interest rate policy has rankled President Trump. Says he's now facing a criminal indictment from the Justice Department. White House correspondent Greg Clugston picks up the story.
Powell issued a video statement about the central bank being served with subpoenas and facing threats from the Trump administration. The subpoena relates to Powell's congressional testimony last June, but the Fed chair said it's about something else.
The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president.
Powell warned that the Fed's independence is at stake and that he will continue to serve in the face of political intimidation. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Homeland Security Secretary Noem says hundreds more federal agents will be deployed to the Minneapolis area in the midst of the big anti-ICE demonstrations. The protest ramped up following the fatal shooting of an anti-ICE demonstrator last week. And President Trump says video clearly shows that Renee Good had weaponized her vehicle when she was shot.
We can't be treating law enforcement that way, whether it's ICE or Border Patrol or our police and men and women. You can't do that.
President Trump says Iran is reaching out to the U.S. about holding talks over the unrest that's roiling the Islamic Republic. Mr. Trump vows to hit the mullahs hard if they don't stop killing demonstrators. By some accounts, the death toll has surpassed 540, and there's no end in sight. Thousands of nurses have gone on strike this morning at several major New York City hospitals, Mount Sinai, New York Presbyterian, Montefiore among them, comes as the flu is sending lots of people to the hospital. On Wall Street, the Dow futures down 377 points. NASDAQ futures off 224. More on these stories at townhall.com.
They say timing is everything in the gold and silver markets, and it's true. Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. Although you can buy at the right time, if you buy the wrong coins, you may not make a profit. When gold was $400 an ounce, many people were talked into buying high-grade old gold and silver collector's coins. Unfortunately, most of the people who bought these so-called semi-numismatic coins, like the $20 St. Gordon's and Liberty Head gold coins, have not broken even on their investment. Incredible, given that gold has risen approximately 525% since then. So while timing is everything, if you buy the wrong coins, the timing simply doesn't matter. Having a dealer who cares about positioning you in the right types of coins or bullion will mean more to your portfolio than anything else. That's why I deal with Nick Rovich and AmFed Coin and Bullion. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. Or go to AmericanFederal.com. AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We'll kickstart this work week with a warming trend before our next shot of cold air arrives midweek. Mostly sunny and dry today, though, with a southwest wind pushing us up to about 53 for the afternoon high. Nice, mild January day. Clear skies tonight, down to about 38 for the early morning low. Tuesday, though, is the pick day of the week, looking at a high of 61 tomorrow afternoon with increasing cloudiness. And then again, those temperatures tumble on Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common-sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
The Vic Borselli Show.
It is an honor and a privilege to have U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt.
Hey, I have to tell you, I don't know if I've ever told you this. In the 90s, what would this have been? Mid-90s.
Yeah.
And I was I worked at Grant's Farm, and I had a couple other jobs. In the afternoon, I would often hear and listen to Borselli's Deli on the radio.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making me feel older than I already feel. That's just great.
Vic Borselli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Mike Ferguson.
Boo! Relax, nerd.
Susie Moore.
And that would be a good time to respond with some applause.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
That's a banana republic without the banana.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
All right, the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security doubled down. They say they are not going to stop going after illegal aliens.
Good.
Well, there's a bunch of people in Clayton who don't like that.
Of course.
Of course there are. Also, President Trump threatening Iran with military action.
Yikes.
Yeah, this is because we don't have enough military targets around the world as it is already. And, of course, watch out for monkeys.
Yep.
Watch out for the monkeys.
And a goat.
And a goat. That's right. 6:06 right now. Let's get going with the news dump here.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Okay, so protests around the country flare up as people are, basically pushing back against the self-defense shooting that ended up killing Renee Nicole Good. And that's, I'm trying to frame this properly because what you're seeing everywhere is she was the victim of a police shooting. Well, no, she wasn't. She was trying to run him over. And the the video came out on Friday, basically clears up any last misconceptions of this. So at this point, if you're saying she's the victim of a police murder, well, then you're knowingly lying about it.
Yeah, if I was going to be generous, I would even say maybe she did not intentionally try to, run him over per se, but the fact of the matter is she still hit him with the vehicle. She accelerated. Her recklessness endangered an officer, and the officer is trained and allowed to respond to the threat.
And the video from the police officer's phone sure made it look like she looked at him square in the eye.
Square in the face. Grinning and all.
Oh, yeah, precisely. All right, so DHS Secretary Kristi Noem was on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo saying, no, ICE is going to keep doing what they're doing.
We're going to continue to, if they conduct violent activities against law enforcement, if they impede our operations, that's a crime, and we will hold them accountable to those consequences.
And so here in just a couple of minutes, we'll have a soundbite from one of the local protesters who says, no justice, no peace. Literally, that was one of the things they came up with.
Well,
because it's original.
Yeah, that's totally original. It's not played out. And it's not like this is totally the first time ever that they've rallied around a cause for somebody that they made their own mistakes that resulted in consequences for them, right?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. All right, 3 Minnesota Democrats, including Ilhan Omar, denied access to an ICE detention facility just outside Minneapolis this weekend. Omar, of course, then went right to the protest rally, says they wanted to see how federal money was being spent.
We are expected by the public to do oversight because the public requires their money be used with transparency and accountability. And what happened today is ICE agents deciding that we were no longer allowed to fulfill our constitutional duties.
Okay, so can I just say that the Somalian who lives in Minnesota should probably STFU when it comes to talking about transparency and using taxpayer money wisely?
I mean, I want to agree that I don't like it if the federal government's also abusing our money, but read the room, and this is peak irony. How do you sit there with a straight face and say, we're going to fight for fair?
This is about transparency and knowing how the money's spent. Really?
Start with your own state.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. All right. At least a couple hundred leftist protesters marched through at least one street and demonstrated at Shaw Park in Clayton this weekend. They were speaking out against ICE's enforcement of our immigration laws. Here's what protester Casey Kester had to say to KSDK.
We are not going to stand for this, and that immigrants belong in this country, and that we're going to stand for them.
Yeah, many of the signs displayed during the protest were basically just anti-Trump signs, is what you had there as well.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not legal immigrants that are the ones being rounded up by ICE.
No.
It's the people that shouldn't be here, including people that have long criminal histories and have committed actual heinous crimes against people.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
And those are the people that they want to protect and obstruct justice for. Interesting.
Basically, yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, going on 6:10 right now. All right, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia has opened a criminal investigation into Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell.
Ooh.
Yeah. Focusing what they say is on the renovation of the central bank's Washington headquarters. And basically, they're saying he wasn't truthful in his congressional testimony about the project. Now, this is according to a report from the New York Times. They're saying you said it was going to be this much, and now it's going to be this much. Therefore, we're opening a criminal investigation. Yeah. Powell put out a video late last night saying the investigation is being done because he's upset President Trump with his policy decisions.
The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president.
And there's a long-running feud over interest rates between Jerome Powell and President Trump. President Trump's wanted him to lower interest rates, and they have done that a little bit, but not. Basically, he hasn't taken the orders of the president, and they haven't done what the president said, saying, no, we're independent. This is what we think it should be.
So I am quite ignorant of a lot of what goes on with the Fed, but it sounds like they may have projected here's where we'd like to be at, or here's the target, and they were unable to meet that target based on whatever mathematical
Well, it wasn't even,
equations.
they just react to it. I mean, you can like or not like their decisions, but the president said lower interest rates, because we want to, lower and they went, not a real good idea right now. And so that's been an ongoing thing. And so, the president's already said he's going to appoint somebody else chair when Jerome Powell's, term is up, which is the president's prerogative to do that. But this launching a criminal investigation that's unrelated to anything, basically the Fed says, yeah, we got in there and there's a crap ton of asbestos that has to be removed. Yeah, actually it turns out that things cost more now because of inflation. So you can if you want to look into do a hearing to say why is there hundreds of millions of dollars more in these expenses, okay. I mean, that's fine, but this kind of reeks of weaponization to me. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I would like for things to cost less and interest
sure.
rates to be lower, but if it's being done artificially and not authentically, I can't imagine that's good for anybody.
I know. So, and there's a lot of issues with the Fed, not necessarily a fan of the Fed, but if we've got it, then let's have it in its role. I would be fine if we, didn't have it. But, But that's what it is. So are we for or are we against weaponization? I'm losing track at this point. Okay, President Trump says Iran has reached out to the U.S. about possible negotiations.
The president said his administration is in talks to set up a meeting with Iranian officials after he threatened action in response to a crackdown on protesters in Iran. Donald Trump said Iran wants to negotiate, but he also said the U.S. military is looking at some very strong options. He promised to hit Iran hard if they killed protesters, and activists say the death toll has reached several hundred. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay, I mean, what the regime in Iran is doing, from what we can tell, is hideous.
It's awful,
without a doubt. Do we need to be there? I mean, I'm asking. I mean, is this our role to do this? Just saying. But there are some remarkable things happening in Iran right now. I mean, they are really trying to overthrow the authoritarian regime. So there are some really, exciting, but, at the same time, scary things that are happening. I mean, scary in a good way, because I don't want I want the authoritarian regime to be overthrown. But I don't know that it's our job to get into a potential civil war somewhere else.
Yeah, it seems that whenever we typically get involved in different nation building, it sometimes backfires on us, or what ends up happening is somebody even worse gets in power, and that's something to be concerned about. I mean, I want to commend them for actually having the bravery, because they are being actually targeted by an authoritarian regime. Everything that the left believes is going on here is actually going on in Iran. Yeah. But unfortunately, it may not be the best call for us to get further involved in that.
I mean, and I'm open to hear the argument that we should. Just let me know. I'm just kind of skeptical of getting involved in other nations' domestic issues here. Yeah. Okay, apparently there's a monkey problem in part of the area. St. Louis Animal Control is looking for some vervant monkeys that have been spotted in the O'Fallon Park area in the city. No word on who lost their monkeys. Multiple reports say there could be as many as 4 monkeys on the loose. We don't know the exact number, but it could be up to 4. If you see one, call animal control, but do not approach it, is the word. Also, someone's goat got loose and is roaming around the city. That one's probably not a threat, but it might eat your front yard.
I like to believe that the monkeys busted out the goat and they're just going for a joyride.
That's what they're doing. All right, the Blues are off today. They are back at home on Tuesday. Hurricanes going to be in town for this one. Blues are now 17, 21, and 8. Arrows are going the wrong way for the Blues here. They have fallen to second to last place in the Central Division.
Don't try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart.
You know, when you take better care of yourself, there are those kind of intangible reminders that you get that it's worth it. Just this weekend, I was chatting with somebody, and he had his teenage daughter with him. And I mentioned I just had a birthday a couple weeks ago. And he goes, oh, how old are you? And I said, well, I'm 54. I just turned 54. And his daughter looked up in shock, and she goes, you don't look 54. Now, that's not me trying to pat myself on the back, but I am saying that is a reflection of my working with Nutrition Stop and trying to take care of myself. Mike Ferguson here for Nutrition Stop. NutritionStop.com. Go give them a visit. They're on Mexico Road just off of Cave Springs and I-70, or just put Nutrition Stop in your maps. It'll take you right there. This is where I get my nutritional supplements. This is where I get my advice. This is where I get a lot of my groceries. And as Barbara, one of the owners of Nutrition Stop, told me a couple weeks ago, she said it's amazing that people will work a lot harder and spend the money to take better care of their car and put the best oils and fluids and maintenance of their car. They'll do that more than we'll do for our own body. And I'm telling you, I don't have the joint pains I used to have. I don't have the muscle aches I used to have. I'm in better shape now. And so much of that I credit to Nutrition Stop. Go check them out today. NutritionStop.com said, hey, Mike said you guys can help me out. And that's exactly what they're going to do.
Make your holiday special with Anthony's Produce, serving our community for over 28 years. Order fresh fruit and vegetable trays for work parties, family gatherings, and celebrations. Send chocolate-covered strawberries or a stunning fruit bouquet to someone you love. Plus, get seasoned firewood for pickup or delivery to keep your home cozy all winter long. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Order online at anthonysproduce.com or call 636-936-0496 on Jungerman Road in St. Peters.
There is no room in America for this kind of conduct.
All of a sudden, they care about free speech? No, they care about dependency and control.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
She will devour the real truth like it was a light snack.
The agenda that the far left is pushing is not working for us. And I'm talking about everybody who look like me. 101.9 and 94.1.
Fight for our freedom.
This is News Talk STL.
In my eyes, indisposed, in disguises no one knows.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
So the pro-illegal alien anti-ICE protest happened in the area again this weekend.
Yay.
Yeah. They took to the streets.
Taking it to the streets.
Taking it to the streets. The rough streets of Clayton.
Yeah. I mean, I've protested in Clayton before.
Have you?
Well, it wasn't a protest. It was a vigil, but it was because of October 7th.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it was a protest
Right,
of sorts.
yeah.
I mean, it was it was definitely a peaceful protest.
Right. And so they, looks like at least a couple hundred. There's a pretty good size, that went there this weekend.
Sure.
Looks like it was probably the very same people who went to the Grove, a week or so ago or
Right.
whatever it was. And probably the same people who are doing the No Kings stuff, over the bridges and all that sort of thing. It was funny. I don't know if you saw the video of the news coverage of this or saw the pictures of it.
No, just in passing. I
He
didn't.
was just lily white, well dressed, a sea of lily white, well dressed leftist protesters.
Which that's kind of interesting because I mean we've got kind of an eclectic or alternative crowd here in St. Louis on the progressive left. I would expect it to be a little bit more.
The only diversity,
Diverse.
the only diversity is who was wearing the North Face and who was the dirty hippies. I mean, they
Okay.
were commingling, so you
Okay.
get that diversity.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So KSDK, which, is just an absolute joke of a news organization. They're not actually a news organization. They're just leftist. It's a leftist activist organization. So they went and covered it. But here's part of the story that they wrote, just to tell you how they set up the framing of it.
The march, ICE out for good, taking over Shaw Park Sunday as hundreds of protesters rallied to protect immigrants and human rights.
The people united will never be defeated.
Yeah, they're protecting human rights. That wasn't, well, this is what they say. It's the assertion they're protecting immigrants and human rights. Okay. Yeah, way to be unbiased there, Melanie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically if that's what they're claiming is their purpose, you do need to include that in your report.
But she stated that as an underlying fact. This
right.
is what
I agree with you.
But if she'd said, well, they're saying that, right, then I've got no argument against it, and that's accurate.
I agree with you.
But that's how they framed it. And I just played this soundbite a second ago, but let me do this again. This is a protester talking to Channel 5, and they said, "Why are you protesting?"
We are not going to stand for this, and that immigrants belong in this country, and that we're going to stand for them.
Yeah, see, there it is. It's we are for the illegal aliens in the country. But let me tell you something. You don't want them in your Lily White, Webster Groves, or Clayton neighborhood. I guarantee you that. So you're going to protest to demand everybody else kowtow them. That's basically what you had.
Well, now she said immigrants.
Yeah.
Of course, not distinguishing between those who come legally and go through the process that everyone is expected to go through, and that we would be expected to go through if we were going to immigrate someplace else.
Absolutely.
But they're conflating it all, and which is the kind of par for the course, I guess.
It really is. So. They had their organization, and they had a lot of people turn out, and then basically they stood around Shaw Park. So they did block at least one of the streets. I don't know which one, but you saw the coverage, and they went in there. And I was looking at some of the comments on some of the news social media when they posted the story, and somebody else goes, "Yeah, so they blocked the streets and police did nothing." And then one of the people who claims to be a protester said, "No, the police gave us protection and blocked the streets so we could march." So law enforcement, according to them, said, "Sure, just go ahead and take over a street." Now, I don't know if you've been in Clayton on a weekend. It's a ghost town.
It is a ghost town.
It's a ghost town.
So, okay, I mean, yeah. It's just like with the Clayton Art Fair. They blocked the streets for the Clayton Art Fair.
Yeah, but which is planned and permitted and all that sort of thing.
Agreed, but the point being, it doesn't create that much havoc.
Right.
People are able to get around it because the core of Clayton doesn't need the traffic in it.
If the courts and the city county buildings are not in session,
right?
Nobody's in Clayton.
No, I absolutely agree.
But the point is, because we saw this, like for instance, with some of the protests in the city, as well, is that we're increasingly back to, and we saw this in Minneapolis, and we saw this, and we'll talk about this in LA here in a minute. Is that we're back to this mindset that of if we protest, we're going to run out into the street and then we own it and we have the rights and you're not allowed to push us out. Matter of fact, there's coverage, but Joe Cunningham wrote this story in Red State. Now, when I first heard about the U-Haul truck going through the protesters, I thought, oh, is this another anti-ICE thing? It actually wasn't.
No. This had to do with Iran. And it was a little confusing because there was Iranian messaging on the U-Haul too. So I felt like I didn't get a chance to delve into it, but it seemed like there were two separate factions on the Iranian issue, but not necessarily in support of the regime. I don't know. It was confusing.
So the way that I understood it was the protest was against the current regime.
Correct.
And I don't know what was going on with the guy who drove the U-Haul truck, because he just barreled through.
Right.
And that thing got beat up, smashed up, and I saw people hitting him with sticks when he was in the cab of the truck, and it got pretty ugly.
There was a guy on top of the truck at one point, too, which I saw. But the signage on the truck was like, down with the regime, but it said no Shah. So it was like saying, we don't want the regime, but we don't want Reza Pahlavi to come back as the new Shah. So it was confusing to me. I never did get a good grasp on who was,
and I wonder if we're not going back to the summer of love mindset.
Oh, we absolutely are.
Yeah, with the Antifa nutcases, and I've been caught up with them blocking off traffic and stuff like that. And so I wonder if we shouldn't just prepare, saying this is going to start happening again. And unfortunately, they're allowed to. They're being allowed to, even though what they're doing is not peaceful. You block off a street, and you don't go through the process. There are processes to get a parade permit or whatever the case is.
Right.
But you just say, whose street's our street, and you go out there and you take it over. That's not peaceful protest. That's not a First Amendment thing. But if you get caught up in it and you say, screw you, I'm going through, well, you're the one who risks some sort of penalty for it, even though they're in the wrong. And I would argue you've got the moral right to go where you want to go.
Yeah, I'm also seeing people juxtaposing that with what happened in Minneapolis because it was the reverse situation. Now, it wasn't that situation because initially the car was blocking and that sort of thing. But they're like, oh, well, the police officer was able to defend himself. So why shouldn't pedestrians be able to defend themselves if a car goes through?
Well, because you're violating their rights to start with.
I'm not. I'm just saying what the argument is. Yeah.
And so, but what's going to happen is at some point there's going to be enough people who said, I've had enough. I'm going to grab my baseball bat. I'm going to give you a couple warnings. I'm going to slowly, and I'm going to keep going. Because what happens is if you move even just a little bit, they swarm you.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're in danger.
It's true.
You are in danger. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but do what you feel like you have to do to protect yourself and whoever's in the vehicle.
Yeah.
On there. And it's this mindset that these just nearly demonic leftists have been allowed to get away with saying, well, I'm just going to take over a street and you're going to recognize that as my right. It's not your right. It's not.
Well, and there's also people from these protests that are on camera calling specifically for armed conflict and for violence against ICE officers. I don't know. I haven't been able to confirm that this pamphlet was specifically the one that Renee Good used, but there are pamphlets circulating that are basically advocating ways of obstructing ICE that would actually put the protesters in danger because they're not looking into the legal codes of what's authorized force, what's not authorized. And one of them includes swarming around these vehicles and swarming them and screaming them out and intimidating the officers. So I think that they don't want these protesters and the people that are already on that side of things, they don't want to be reasoned with. They clearly don't want discussion or debate. They don't want to be factually accurate. So I think it's just a matter of we found something we can latch onto to justify us being rowdy and violent.
No, I think that pretty well sums it up, unfortunately. And it's, the lawyer in me gets so frustrated when these conversations come up because I've seen over and over again people misstating what the law is about the use of force and about what authority ICE has and doesn't have, and that's getting people killed and hurt.
I saw, I don't know if it's a social media meme or whatever, but it was like, ICE isn't allowed to do all this, and I'm going, I don't think that's right. I think they're federal law enforcement. They're,
Yeah. We ran a very in-depth article yesterday from our buddy Shipwrecked Crew, who is a lawyer, was a federal prosecutor for years, and he did, it's a lengthy article, but he did a thorough breakdown on the legal, the laws involved and, why this isn't going to be prosecuted.
Right.
And, people can have different points of view, people can argue, well, that's not exactly how I interpret the law or whatever, but what we're seeing put out there is bad info, and it's going to get people killed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right, what we got, Jerome?
We've got our friend Dave.
Hey, Dave, you're on News Talk STL. Got about 60 seconds.
Hey, good morning. How are you guys?
All right.
Hey, I don't know if you heard that Einstein Sony Hostin on the Cluck box trying to explain how that ICE agent's going to be prosecuted under Tennessee versus Gardner. Well, apparently the stupid witch didn't take a deep dive into it, because the Mr. Gardner was shot and killed fleeing, and if I remember correctly, the officer that shot and killed him knew he wasn't armed. So the one thing these idiot people don't realize is if you point a gun at a police officer, the odds are you're going to die. If you point a car at someone, again, the odds are you're going to die. People, that is a weapon, 4,000 or 5,000 pound weapon. If you just do one simple thing, people, I guarantee you, you will go home safely if you just simply comply. I'm giving you free advice for the morons.
Hey, Dave.
Just simply comply. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I got to get to the information segment in a second. Thanks so much for that. But I'll let you jump in on that because he referenced the court case on this.
Yeah, Tennessee versus Garner. It's a 1985 case. It's specifically referenced in this article I was just telling you about, and it involved a person fleeing on foot. And up to that point, you could shoot a fleeing felon. That changed that, but that guy was not in a car.
Right.
So, Sonny...
He didn't have a weapon
Correct. He was literally climbing over a fence or a wall. Yeah. So, sorry, Sonny, you're wrong.
Yeah. Imagine that.
No. All right. Slightly different topic. Does government have a role in telling businesses what they can and cannot charge customers? We're not just talking about Mayor Mom Downey with this. We'll get in a little economics primer coming up on that at 6:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
His verbal skills are limited.
Susie Moore.
Woman with the wild hair.
On News Talk STL.
Black hole sun, won't you come?
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty. The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We'll kickstart this work week with a warming trend before our next shot of cold air arrives midweek. Mostly sunny and dry today, though, with a southwest wind pushing us up to about 53 for the afternoon high. Nice, mild January day. Clear skies tonight, down to about 38 for the early morning low. Tuesday, though, is the pick day of the week, looking at a high of 61 tomorrow afternoon with increasing cloudiness. And then again, those temperatures tumble on Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michaels Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michaels has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michaels Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
When it's important to you,
What St. Louis is talking about.
it's on News Talk STL.
The Trump administration is celebrating an economic boost and crediting international investments in the U.S.
We're the hottest country anywhere in the world. A lot of the effects are not going to be seen until 2026.
News, analysis, opinion.
We're going to have a gigantic refund year. I think households could see $1,000, $2,000 refunds.
1019 and 94.1.
My talk station.
News Talk STL.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
Today's story behind the story, Operation Chaos, when the CIA was investigating Americans inside our nation.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
All right, don't throw something at me, but I'm just putting a question out there. Yeah, you're ready to throw something. Okay.
Oh, that's my phone. I don't want to do
Yeah,
that.
that's expensive. If you're going to throw something cheaper than that.
That's the closest thing in here.
Do Zoran Mamdani and Donald Trump actually have something in common?
Well, they have lots in common.
Yeah.
Hello, New York.
Yeah,
Oh,
New
you
York.
mean something different now.
Yeah, different. Both say government should set price controls on something. So is it the same thing? If we did not have so many other massive things happening on this, might have slipped underneath the radar on something that the president put on social media the other day, where he says, basically, I've declared that credit card companies are not allowed to charge for 1 year, cap their annual percentage rate interest at 10%.
It's the old populist talking.
Right. And he was actually asked about that on Air Force One. So there's kind of a lot of background noise here on it. But he was asked about, well, what happens? The question is, what happens if they don't obey you? Here's what he said.
The announcement on the cap on credit card interest rates we put out on Friday. What happens if the credit card companies don't comply by the January date?
Well, then they're in violation of the law. Very severe things. No, I want a cap on credit card interest rates because some of them are 28, almost 30%, and the people don't know they're paying 30%. The people out there, they're working, and they have no idea that they're paying 30%. No way. We're putting a 1-year cap at 10%.
Okay, we're now joined by Dr. Howard Wall. He is with the Center for Regional Economic Research, University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. You may know him from his fame here at Lindenwood University with the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise, and also formerly the vice president of the St. Louis Fed. So let me just first get the one thing out of the way. The president is just, what he said is demonstrably false. They are not in violation of the law. His Truth Social post is not a law. just to point that out. But Howard, let's look at the bigger picture here. You've got Mandami talking about we're going to cap the amount of rent that landlords can charge. We've had Bernie Sanders talking about we're going to limit the price of food so that more people have accessible food. Josh Hawley has said we're going to he thinks there should be legislation to stop federal contractors from paying executives a certain amount. Now, President Trump says, I've declared we're not going to allow credit card companies to charge more interest rate. Well, from like Susie said, the populist standpoint, these credit card rates or interest is killing me. I love that. What is it we need to keep in mind when we talk about all of this effort to have government enact price controls on whatever the subject is?
Well, hi, good morning. And the thing to keep in mind is that the other side of it, like the seller, is not going to go unchanged. They're going to change what they do. Right? They're not going to provide the same amount. You're not going to get the same amount of credit. The same people aren't going to get credit cards. A lot of people are going to not be able to get credit cards at all. And, the housing will be reduced if there's rent controls, all sorts of things. So it's a bit bizarre to me as an economist that people ignore that the companies being restricted will, have to change their own behavior.
Good morning, Howard. What about people who say, okay, well, I don't think the president can do it via Truth Social or even an executive order, but what if Congress decides to pass a law and actually get on the same page enough to pass a law that sets a max or a cap on credit card rates in particular? I feel like the same economic arguments are involved, but is there at least a stronger argument for it if it's done that way?
Well, it would actually be a law, which is, I guess the president thinks a Truth Social post is above a law, but the economics would be exactly the same. But it's that a bank has to make money too, and they're not going to give credit to someone with a bad credit rating if they can't cover their own risk by charging a higher rate.
Well, and that leads to the question as far as the economics when people are talking about this, because it's really easy to go, 22, 24, 30% interest rates. They shouldn't be doing that. That sucks. That's not right. Okay, well, that's one argument, and maybe that's not right. Maybe it is. But what we're talking about is the government role in this, and we've seen this from time to time over different areas. So it's really easy to say, go get the bad guys, but you've kind of referenced this. I guess I'm asking for a little. Let's dive a little deeper, Howard, in that somebody's going to lose out because it's hard maybe to sympathize with these multinational economic, credit financial conglomerates. But the bottom line is that it changes what's available to us, right?
Oh, it's the consumers who lose out. Because like with the credit card example, it's that people won't have the availability of credit. Banks aren't going to offer the same credit cards. They're not going to offer the same rewards points that they've been doing, all sorts of other things that go along with the credit card. If if they can't cover the cost of those by charging higher rates, especially given that inflation is a bit high. That means that this interest rate isn't as high as it sounds. So yeah, it's consumers who are going to lose, and it's the poorer consumers are the ones who always lose out, because if you're well off and you have really great credit, first of all, you're probably not spending on your credit card, but also you're not the one who's going to take the bite of this.
Don't we already have some usury laws on the books? I know those might be state level, but isn't that already a thing in a lot of states?
There are some things usually with the same day loans or something.
The payday loans, yeah.
Payday loans, and that's usually for something like 35, 40, 50% or something, and they also have the same effect, but the market's quite different for that. And the president actually alludes to something that is almost reasonable, which is whether or not people know what they're being charged. If you don't know that you're being charged 30%, well, then maybe you should be told. But there's lots and lots and lots and lots of laws where they're always having to tell you what interest rate they're charging you. And this is when you buy a house with a mortgage, all the paperwork you sign, it's all about disclosure, and all those laws are already in place.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at your credit card statement, it's there, but it's in very small print, and it's buried, so technically it's there. So if they said, you've got to put the interest rate, on the front page, that's I got no issue with that. That's to inform you.
Yeah.
But Howard,
that's information flow is great. That's like what good regulation is to get more information going so people make decisions that are good for them. But to just say no, you can't do it when it's actually sometimes I don't mind paying 15% on my credit card because I just need to do it.
Howard, what we talk about a 10% APR, annual percentage rate. Now let me get into your wonky economics here. Annual percentage is obviously just what it says, what you would be paying over the year. So that's actually not just like a 10% per month thing. That would be essentially almost no interest whatsoever on the credit card purchases and even outstanding balances if you break down the month-to-month bill over an annual percentage rate.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. People sometimes think, it's 10% every bill. It's like 10% over the course of a year if you, say, are putting $1,000 on your credit card. So it's really not as high as some people say in terms of what you're actually paying, and it's only a little bit above a lot of car loans.
Interesting. So if we translate that or shift over to the idea about like rent control, I mean, I think people instinctively recognize that in that arena that creates problems. The ripple effect, if you will. And yet we're seeing that pushed for in New York.
Yeah, actually, I don't know. I've been fighting this battle of price controls for 40 years now, and I don't. It's getting to be that less people seem to want to recognize that. The government just stepping in and declaring what prices should be is a good idea. It's just not. Just doesn't work because people don't understand why the prices are what they are. And there's this idea that the prices are just set by some evil corporations and there's no other thing out there like the market and competition that is already pushing the prices down. So it's very distressing to be an economist these days. Well, so a little sympathy for economists.
Well, and here's the thing: in New York City in particular, we know there are thousands, possibly tens of thousands, of rental units that are empty right now because the cost to renovate them or bring them up to code would be more than what the landlords could make under the rent control restrictions that they've got. And so, not only is it bad policy, but the result of that policy is it's created a housing shortage, which drives up the cost of other housing around the area. There are tens of thousands of units that could be available if landlords were able to charge the rent. And if there were more available, then the supply and demand would moderate those costs, it would seem.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's really, I think in New York with rent, the problem is that millions of people are benefiting from rent control, and they don't want rent control to go away. And the people who would gain from rent control have less political power, fewer votes. So, it's the people who are currently living in the rent control apartments are saving thousands of dollars a month, and they're not willing to give that up.
Sure. Understandable. If you were advising the president on this issue, particularly with regard to credit cards and just, I think he's trying a couple of different angles at addressing affordability and appealing to people's, I guess, emotions on that issue. If you were advising him as to a smart economic way to go about maybe addressing some of these issues, what would you advise?
Well, first of all, cut all the tariffs down to zero. In deregulation, he usually, or in his first term, he had good sense about deregulating markets, and now he's re-regulating them with more government intervention. And it's more intervention and more taxes, more tariffs. These are the things that drive up the costs, in addition to just regular inflation, which comes from having a ballooning, budget deficit, which he's claims to have addressed, but has actually kind of worsened over the long run.
Hey, Howard, I just got a minute or so left here. Department of Justice says it's opening a criminal investigation into Jerome Powell at the Federal Reserve. They say it's over his testimony regarding, I guess, the renovations. What do you make of that? Now, you didn't work at the Washington, D.C. Federal Reserve, as I recall. You were here in St. Louis. But what's your take on that news that came out over the last 48 hours?
Well, it's obviously has absolutely nothing to do with the renovation. That's just idiotic. And it's just absolutely 100% a way to try to intimidate or punish or control Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve to try to get idiotic interest rate policy of 1% interest rates, which will just blow up inflation. So it's really, in my view, one of the foulest things that President Trump has done so far.
All right. And then obviously your regional work is kind of centered around the Mid-South area, but people want to follow the work that you do. What's the way to do it?
Yeah, the best way is that the center, CRER, at UTC, a bunch of letters there, but or just Google Howard Wall, economist.
You'll find it. All right, Howard, great talk to you again. Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
There's monkey business going on in the St. Louis metro area.
Oh, no.
There always is, but...
And now it includes a goat. We'll explain that in the news dump at 6:50.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are. Our Constitution is a document in which we, the people, tell the government what it is allowed to do.
On NewsTalkSTL.
They served our country with honor. Now it's our turn to serve them. Join the freedom13.org for an unforgettable gala honoring America's heroes, February 27th at the Foundry Arts Center in St. Charles. A special evening supporting Freedom 13's bold mission, 50 camps in 50 states on more than 50,000 acres, building 650 homes for veterans, police, and their families. Tickets and sponsorship opportunities are available now. Visit thefreedom13.org. That's thefreedom13.org.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Considering an online pharmacy? Explore BeSafeRx to find useful information and resources to help you purchase medicines safely online. A safe online pharmacy requires a doctor's prescription, has an address in the United States, has a licensed pharmacist, and is licensed by a state pharmacy board. It's best to stay away from online pharmacies that don't meet these criteria. Discover more helpful tips and resources at BeSafeRx. Go to fda.gov/BeSafeRx.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security double down. They say they are not going to stop going after illegal aliens.
Okay.
Yep. And there was a protest in St. Louis County about that just this weekend.
Okay.
President Trump threatening Iran with military action. And as Jerome just said, monkey business in St. Louis.
Yep. Oh, dear.
This is what maybe I shouldn't be as amused by this story. I just am.
Well, the memes are great.
Oh, they're fantastic.
I'm rooting for the monkeys.
I think a lot of people are.
At this point,
I think
them and the sweet meteor of death.
No, I think a lot of people are pro-monkey right now. I'm just saying. Sure. All right, 6:51. Let's do another news dump.
The morning news dump. Are you joking? Is this a joke? Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
Okay, so as we mentioned, a lot of these protests around the country flaring up, and the shooting of Renee Nicole Good is the latest excuse that they've got to get back out into the streets on this. Border czar Tom Homan was on Fox News Sunday criticizing those who are pushing back against ICE.
The left wants to play this game that ICE, they're not law enforcement officers. They are federal law enforcement officers. Impeding them and interfering them is a crime.
It's true.
That's accurate.
It is. That is accurate.
Yeah, so we'll, in just a second here, I've got a soundbite from one of the local protests against this as well. So get this, Susie. 3 Minnesota Democrats, congressional Democrats, including Ilhan Omar, tried to get into an ICE detention facility saying that they're trying to do their oversight and they want to see what's going on in there. And they were told, yeah, no, that's not how that works.
You can, but you have to put in your notice and your request. And now has to be 7 days ahead of time. And so there's hoops you have to jump through.
So she just walked up and was told no, and then she went right to the protest rally and said this.
We are expected by the public to do oversight because the public requires their money be used with transparency and accountability. And what happened today is ICE agents deciding that we were no longer allowed to fulfill our constitutional duties.
Oh, so now the Somali congresswoman from Minnesota is all about transparency and accountability?
Well, in certain arenas. But she's wrong. She's also wrong on the way things work. So, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right, so at least a couple hundred leftist protesters marched through at least one street, and then they demonstrated at Shaw Park in Clayton over the weekend, speaking out against ICE's enforcement of our immigration laws. Here's what protester Casey Kester had to say to KSDK.
We are not going to stand for this, and that immigrants belong in this country, and that we're going to stand for them.
Many of the signs displayed during the protest were just your pretty typical anti-Trump signs.
We just repurposed No Kings.
That's essential. I mean, I'm guessing these are the exact same people.
That's a safe bet.
Yeah, but it's the No Kings Redux, if you will.
Okay. I mean,
hey, they got their right to say that.
I absolutely support their right to say that.
Sure.
As long as they're not, as you said, blocking streets illegally, that sort of thing. Well, go for it.
Yep. All right. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia opening a criminal investigation into Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, focusing on the renovation of the central bank's Washington headquarters. What they're saying is that they don't think he was truthful in his congressional testimony about the project. So Powell put up a video late last night saying the investigation is being done because he, Jerome Powell, angered President Trump by not lowering interest rates when the president said to.
This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation.
So Anna Paulina Luna made a criminal referral on Powell in July. And it was in relation to the congressional testimony.
Mm-hmm.
And there did seem to be some inconsistencies between what Powell said when he was under oath and what some of the information was.
Now, is this regarding the cost of the renovations?
It had to do with the scope of it and the cost of it, that sort of thing. And I can't remember the specific ones. I can go back and find our articles at the time. This didn't just come up now. And in fact, I believe, I haven't been able to verify this, but I think this was actually opened in November. Powell's just acknowledging it now, or they're announcing it now. It wasn't made public at the time. So I understand, and I think it's fair to question, is this political? Is there some sort of, is this the right thing to be doing? But I also want to make it clear, this didn't just come up just now.
Yeah, but Trump and Powell have got this, well, I would say they've got this long-running feud. Trump's got a feud with Powell. I don't know that Powell necessarily has a feud with Trump.
I can't rule that out.
Yeah.
I think that you can question some of the moves the Fed has made over the past few years and whether or not they were political, Trump or no.
Yeah, we should question them every quarter.
Absolutely.
Every quarter.
Absolutely.
Question them regardless of who's in office.
And again, I think it's fair to have the discussion about it and maybe have different points of view about it, but I just wanted to be clear, this did not just happen.
All right, President Trump says Iran is now reaching out to the U.S. about proposed negotiations.
The president said his administration is in talks to set up a meeting with Iranian officials after he threatened action in response to a crackdown on protesters in Iran. Donald Trump said Iran wants to negotiate, but he also said the U.S. military is looking at some very strong options. He promised to hit Iran hard if they killed protesters, and activists say the death toll has reached several hundred. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay, so let's talk about this in a little more depth here in a minute, but apparently there's a monkey problem in part of the area.
Yeah.
St. Louis Animal Control is looking for some vervant monkeys. Those are like the light brown ones, and they have been spotted in the O'Fallon Park area of the city.
They take great selfies.
They do. They're all over the internet. Very
in front
talented.
of the arch, they are.
No word on who lost their monkeys. We don't know.
That's a key question.
It is. Who lost your monkeys?
Lost your monkeys.
Multiple reports say there could be as many as 4 monkeys on the loose.
There's people standing around saying, "Not my circus, not my monkeys."
Right. So if you see one, the advice is to call animal control and don't approach it because they are darn cute. But I don't know.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, somebody's goat got loose.
Now, the goat you might be able to approach.
You can probably approach the goat.
Be careful that it doesn't butt you. But.
Right. That's roaming around the city. That one's it's probably not a threat. It might eat your front yard.
It might.
But it's probably not a threat. You're probably right about that. Blues are off today, back at home tomorrow. Hurricanes will be in town on Tuesday. Blues season struggling. Arrows are going down again, Susie. This has been ugly.
Not good.
Yeah, they are 17, 21, and 8. They have fallen to second to last place in the Central Division.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
At Grasser Home Services, we're looking for happy plumbers to join our team. Plumbers who are polite, honest, and do the job right.
And love dogs. They must love dogs.
Plumbers who treat customers' homes with respect, care about the details, and show up on time.
Know a happy plumber who's great with dogs?
Have them call Grasser Home Services.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
There's something magical about walking into your backyard and knowing your family is completely safe and secure. Hi, I'm Sean Long, owner of STL Fenceworks. That's the feeling my team and I have been creating for metro area families for more than 50 years. Whether you're adding your first fence or finally creating the outdoor sanctuary you've always wanted, we offer premium vinyl and stunning ornamental options, all designed around your family's specific needs and lifestyle. While other companies struggle with supply delays and rising costs, we've always proudly used all American-made materials, which means better pricing and faster installation for you. Our experienced craftsmen exemplify our motto, your satisfaction is our passion. From Warrenton to Wildwood, your neighbors trust us because we live here too. And we care about your project as much as you do. Right now is the golden time to build with flexible financing options and a commitment to completing your fence on time and on budget. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Agree.
I think conservatives have it wrong.
Or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump. I'm shaking my head. I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it. That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
So I want to hear what people are thinking and be able to talk about it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Some major New York City hospitals, Mount Sinai, New York Presbyterian, and Montefiore, dealing with a nurses' strike this morning. More than 10,000 nurses have now walked off the job. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has declared a state of emergency in response. The job action comes as flu cases surge, forcing a lot of people to seek out medical care. As death toll from anti-government protests in Iran spirals beyond several hundred, President Trump says Tehran, facing the threat of American intervention to halt the bloodshed, is asking the U.S., can we talk?
The president said his administration is in talks to set up a meeting with Iranian officials after he threatened action in response to a crackdown on protesters in Iran. Donald Trump said Iran wants to negotiate, but he also said the U.S. military is looking at some very strong options. He promised to hit Iran hard if they killed protesters, and activists say the death toll has reached several hundred. Greg Clugston, Washington.
ExxonMobil may not be among American energy companies brought in to revitalize Venezuela's energy infrastructure. President Trump met with a group of oil executives last week, including from ExxonMobil.
No, I didn't like Exxon's response. We have so many that want it. I'd probably be inclined to keep Exxon out. I didn't like their response. They're playing too cute.
ExxonMobil CEO Darren Woods says at this point Venezuela is, his word, uninvestable. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says the Justice Department has served the central bank with subpoenas and threatens it with a criminal indictment over his Senate testimony 7 months ago regarding the Fed's building renovations. Stock futures deep in the red this morning on Wall Street. The Dow futures down 325 points. NASDAQ futures are off 187. More on these stories, townhall.com.
What if 2026 could be the best year ever for your retirement? It can, when you take control of your financial future with physical precious metals. Call Advantage Gold at 800-741-GOLD now to get your free gold and silver rollover kit, a $49 value just for calling. More Americans than ever are discovering the power of rolling over a portion of their IRA or 401k into physical gold and silver. With a simple, tax and penalty-free rollover, you can add stability, security, and strength to your retirement. In times of inflation, uncertainty, or market swings, gold has been a steady, tangible, proven store of value. And in 2026, it could be the key to building the retirement you've always imagined. That's why so many people trust Advantage Gold, the #1 rated gold IRA company in America for 10 years running. Call 800-741-GOLD to get your free gold rollover kit. Call 800-741-GOLD. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-741-4653 now. That's 800-741-GOLD.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We'll kickstart this work week with a warming trend before our next shot of cold air arrives midweek. Mostly sunny and dry today, though, with a southwest wind pushing us up to about 53 for the afternoon high. Nice, mild January day. Clear skies tonight, down to about 38 for the early morning low. Tuesday, though, is the pick day of the week, looking at a high of 61 tomorrow afternoon with increasing cloudiness. And then again, those temperatures tumble on Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no from anyone.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
So, excuse me. Apparently,
we got Mike all choked up. He's verklempt.
There it is.
Okay, there he is.
So St. Louis is
No.
Now I'm still not done with it. Yeah, St. Louis is apparently becoming Jumanji or something.
Oh yeah. Oof.
Oh my gosh.
Scary.
All right, we'll get to that here in a second.
Fine.
All right. Get to your week's reading off to a good start here, okay?
All right.
You can do that obviously at redstate.com.
You can.
So Susie, what do you recommend that we check out first?
This is the Red State Rundown.
First, this thing this morning, I recommend that you check out the latest article from our Pentagon correspondent, R.C. Maxwell. It's titled, Urgency is Extraordinary, Castillion's SpaceX-Style Hypersonic Innovation Fuels Push for Deterrence. It's all about how we're employing new technology, hypersonic technology, and pushing forward with our technological abilities so that we can kind of enforce peace through strength.
I don't know where he is right now, but Gabe's ears just perked up when you said that.
Gabe, you want to check out this article. For sure, you want to check that one out. We've also got, this was kind of flew under the radar last night because there was so much else going on, but the Secret Service had to divert Donald Trump's motorcade yesterday when they were transporting him from Mar-a-Lago to go back to Washington, D.C. There was a suspicious object spotted at Palm Beach Airport.
Oh.
Rusty Weiss has that story for us. And this article I alluded to earlier, I thought I did. Oh, there it is. It's called Minneapolis is Not Even a Close Call, a law explainer on officer-involved shootings. This is from our friend Shipwrecked Crew, used to be regular contributor. He's a sometimes contributor now at Red State. He is a former federal prosecutor and pretty well steeped in this area of the law. And this is a lengthy law explainer, but it is worth the read if you want to know more about the laws in play in the Minneapolis shooting.
So here's the thing that I noticed over the weekend, and what I'm starting to practice is when I get my couple days off. So whenever your days off, mine happen to be on the weekends. I'm getting into the personal practice of unplugging, and I will go back and check social media once or twice a day just because, we could get called in. If something major happens, we could get called back in to go live again, and I'm happy to do that if that happens. But what I'm seeing is a constant, we don't care what the evidence clearly shows us. We are still going to argue the narrative, and that's nothing new. I'm not surprised by that. But I'm still looking for those people who were ready to march in the street or did march in the street, and then they see, like, for instance, the new angle of the video and the evidence. They see the video from the previous few minutes and go, oh, my goodness, I was wrong. I still disagree with the immigration policy, but I was wrong on that. That woman got herself killed, and it's a tragedy. And you just don't see that where people say, oh, there's new information. I must have been wrong. You just don't see that. You don't see it on our side. You don't see it on the other side very much.
Not very much. Every once in a while you do, but it's hard because of the mediums in which we're communicating with one another. Social media does not lend itself to reasoned discussion, argument, persuasion, any of that. It's just, bam, 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 talking point, talking point, talking point.
It's very tribal.
It's very tribal, and people talk past one another, and it's to the point where, like, I don't in any way begrudge my friends, family members, whoever, who have different viewpoints than I do, different, voting patterns, whatever. I don't at all. But when I see them posting and reposting factually wrong stuff, and that happens in both directions.
Absolutely.
It's not just one side. It's almost physically painful to me, and I want so much to say, okay, that's not the right information, but I don't want to engage on social media that way.
I saw, I don't know if it was the flyer Jerome was talking about earlier, if it was just a graphic that somebody wrote, and it was basically a know your rights. ICE isn't local police, and it listed all these things, and I'm going, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not a cop, and I'm pretty sure that's wrong.
So ICE it's correct that ICE is not local police.
Correct.
And they have different policing authorities, but there's two aspects to ICE. And in this law explainer that I was just talking about from Shipwrecked Crew, he lays out in very specific detail the difference and the distinction. And the agents of ICE, the people that were out there that were in this video, they do have the authority to make an arrest and do what they were trying to do if someone is impeding their operation. That person is then breaking the law. They do have law enforcement authority at that point. So people who say they don't are full of it.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, there's the argument over you're right or you're wrong and we're right, or you're bad and we're good. But you put it very succinctly last hour, which is these lies are going to be taken to heart by people, and somebody else is going to end up getting hurt or killed.
Yeah. We've already seen that in action. That's what was happening here. It appears to me that Renee and Rebecca Good did not believe those ICE agents had legal authority over them, so they were not going to obey them. And that did not end well.
Right. Precisely. So that's another reason. Again, every time I'm tempted to go correct somebody on social media, I'm like, you know what? Somebody else has already said what I was about to say. I don't need the headache. I'm not going to mess with it. And so the toxicity of social media is just something that I'm like, you know what? I'm disconnecting, the arguments. I still post. I still promote what we have here. I still have the discussions. I still will make a point every now and again, but don't live your life on social media.
No. And I this is probably a stupid distinction, but I do distinguish my Facebook from my X.
Yeah.
Because X is more used for my work. It's what I do.
Right.
Facebook is how I connect with family, friends, and people who are all over the spectrum. And I want to keep that relationship, and I want us to have that bond, and I don't want it to be sullied by the toxicity you're talking about.
So connect with us, so we will not toxify your feed.
True.
So you're Smoozy Q on X. Twitter.
I
am AVP Mike Ferguson. And then Jerome is producer Jerome. So connect with us.
Yeah.
Follow us. Comment. Okay. Coming up on 712 here. 4 monkeys and a goat.
Walk into a bar.
That is not the name of a ska band.
Oh, it should be.
I'm not saying it should be. I'm just saying it's not, at least not right now. Actually, we don't know if there's 4 monkeys. We know there are some monkeys, but nobody can really confirm how many monkeys are on the loose in the metro right now.
Potentially 4 monkeys.
So what basically animal control is saying to local media is they said, okay, somebody snapped some pictures, just some cell phone pictures, and so they sent those over to the zoo. At first, they were like, are these your monkeys? And the zoo's like, no, not our monkeys. But they determined that they are vervant monkeys. So I don't know that they're known to be particularly aggressive or anything like that. But here's the thing. As cute as monkeys are, they can mess you up. Whatever their size is, their strength is way more than their size, even for these little ones. So somebody clearly had these as pets. And I've seen, the social media videos of somebody who's got the house monkey pet, and it looks like fun. And if they're very tame and friendly, it looks like so much fun, but I'll just watch it on video. Don't mess with the monkeys.
No. And honestly, yeah, if you do see them, it's a call to animal control. It's not like someone's lost dog that you can coax into your car. No, I would not take that chance.
No, but it is really funny, and the memes
funny.
are phenomenal right now. I saw a little bit earlier that apparently I was rocking out with some of the monkeys earlier on the memes.
Yeah, I think you were seen with them later. I've also seen them hanging out at the arch, hanging out at the baseball field.
Yes, and Jerome informed me that he cannot make an AI meme of me and the monkeys for some reason, which I said, I guess I'm going to take as a compliment. I don't know. Like, AI just will not accept me as a friend of monkeys. I don't know.
You're stuck with these 2 monkeys.
Yeah,
well, this is true. Maybe it's saying you've already had your share. I don't know.
The goat, though, Goats are pretty. They're usually pretty friendly. Yeah,
they're pretty low key. I don't know about friendly even. They're like low key. They're not aggressive.
The ones who have been captive before, they tell me, don't go chase down the goat. They can headbutt you.
I was going to say, you got to watch because they can butt you.
But like, have you ever been to like take your kids to the goat farm or something like that?
Yeah.
My kids had so much fun at that. But now you've got animals that were captive that are now loose.
Right.
And it's getting pretty cold, and so they're probably pretty agitated here.
I would think so.
If they do manage to locate where these monkeys are, they're probably going to have to do the tranquilizer dart and all that. As far as I know, nobody's raised their hand and said, hey, you may see my monkeys.
Well, this is what's interesting, because you would think if these were your pets or whatever, you would be, I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say maybe the people or person who had them didn't have them legally.
Exactly.
So doesn't want to make that advertise that. But I mean, they're your pets.
Yeah.
So I would be like moving heaven and earth to get to them.
If animal control gets to them, you ain't getting your monkeys back.
No.
Yeah. I mean, what's the weirdest animal? Because goats are, by the way, not considered exotic pets. So I don't even know that
well,
it's
you do goat
illegal.
yoga.
Yeah, well, yeah, and some people, if they have really large yards, sometimes I've seen them use goats.
We've used them at the shelter. We've had them come in. I mean, they're not ours, but we've rented them. We've rented a goat to come in and basically do the weed
lawn
work.
care, weed work.
Yeah.
And so, what are some of the weirdest pets you've seen? Because there are some that, like, I just don't understand why people would have. I still don't understand, and I know there's somebody out there who listens and says, Mike, you don't get it. I don't understand having a snake as a pet.
I mean, I guess they're kind of unique and exotic, and I mean they're kind of cool.
Sure, they're very cool, but I just don't understand having them as a pet.
It doesn't appeal to me either. I'm much more of a four-legged furry animal type. So yeah, it's not my thing. I'm not even a big fan of fish necessarily, but they're really pretty. It's just that they're a lot of work.
Yeah, they are a lot of work. I get fish because they can be very relaxing when they're just kind of
but you could
around.
do like a fake screen and have that up too.
I do, because I don't have an aquarium now, but I used to have an aquarium.
Right. And again, I get it. It's just that's not something that appeals to me just because it's so much work.
Weirdest pet somebody has had that you've seen?
I knew somebody that had ferrets. So I guess it's not quite weird, but they went a little overboard with how they were walking around the house with them.
And those things can smell awful.
Oh, yeah.
I would say birds probably, because you have something meant to fly free outdoors and you're keeping them caged indoors and letting them make a mess of your house.
Yeah.
And then I knew somebody that actually had a cat or a skunk, because they act like cats, but they got rid of the stink glands, and it was pretty interesting.
Well,
I've heard about that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I mean, sugar gliders are weird animals. They're cute as
they're really cool.
They're super cute.
I kind of do want one of those.
They are, but I mean, they're exotic. But like the weirdest, I don't know. I've known people that had a tarantula, which, I mean, that's okay. I
had a coworker who kept one on his desk.
I've had them crawl on me before. It's a little creepy, but I mean, the thing about them is since they are kind of fuzzy, they're less. I don't like spiders at all, but tarantulas don't bug me as much.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they're taking it to the streets.
Yes.
The mean streets of Clayton. And we're not talking about the monkeys and the goats. We're talking about the latest bold actions by well-off leftists in St. Louis County who think Orange Man is bad or something.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Everybody wants me to dance. Could you imagine FDR dancing?
On NewsTalk-STL. Colombo and Company.
Trump is making moves to acquire Greenland. We'll fill you in on the latest details Monday. Plus, Gabe Pfeiffer, Paul Kurtman, and AI expert Mike McCleary.
Live and local, weekdays at 2
on NewsTalk-STL.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
Love the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. So stay away from me, the beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it.
Hey folks, it's Chris Salcedo, your liberty-loving Latino on Newsmax. Everybody likes Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, the pro-illegal alien anti-ICE protest happened in the area again this weekend. They took it to the streets.
Taking it to the streets.
Little Doobie Brothers there. That's
Sorry.
right. The rough streets of Clayton.
Mean streets.
Mean
of Clayton Mo.
Mean streets of Clayton. Oh, my goodness. But it looks like they actually did have a pretty big turnout on this. They had at least a couple hundred people. I couldn't tell from all of the video, but I'm sure that all the TV stations did coverage of it. The only one I found that was posted was KSDK's, which I always roll my eyes because they're the worst in town. I mean, they don't even pretend to be objective. They are just so clearly on the left. You know, and honestly, I think that the Channel 4 and I think Channel 2 have do a fairly decent job just when it comes to, you know, being objective. I mean, you can clearly see that some of them have accepted underwriting narratives about, you know, climate change or trans things or whatever.
Yeah.
KSDK is just off the charts. They're really more of a leftist activist group than they are any sort of
They're owned by
news.
NBC,
Than any sort of news
or
organization.
affiliated with, I guess. I don't know what the relationship is. But.
Yeah, I think it's affiliation, I think, is what they're at. But so here's where we're at. They do the story on this. Melanie Johnson does the story. And just to set the tone, here is an early part of her story on this, her video report, a package is what it's called in the business. Listen to what she just assumes or wants you to assume is a true foundation of the story. Here's what she said.
And hours ago, protesters hit the...
Sorry. Oh, yeah. You know what? This is Mike. But yeah, here's how they set up the story.
And hours ago, protesters hit the streets across the country, including St. Louis, in response to the shooting death of Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis last week. 5 on your side's Melanie Johnson reports from the front lines in Clayton, where hundreds filled the streets to say, ICE out for good.
Front lines in Clayton.
She's in the trenches out there.
Well, here's part of the early part of Melanie Johnson's story.
The march, ICE out for good, taking over Shaw Park Sunday as hundreds of protesters rallied to protect immigrants and human rights.
The people united will never be defeated.
By the way, that was that screaming when that was the chick from the Party for Socialism and Liberation.
Oh, the one that we've been seeing.
I think it was the same one, but yeah, it wasn't. They claim that what they're doing is protecting immigrants and human rights. That was just
to protect immigrants and human rights.
She didn't say that. Well, this is what they're saying. She's saying this is what's foundationally true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just
slight issue. Plus, that's just not a catchy chant.
Oh.
The people united will never be defeated.
Right.
Well, that doesn't rhyme.
It barely rhymes.
No, it doesn't rhyme.
Yeah.
They really went with defeated instead of divided. The people united will never be divided.
Well,
that's
right.
So much
maybe
better.
kind of a tautology, but they got to work on their chance.
I mean, they if nothing else in the 60s, they were pretty creative.
Yeah.
And I've seen some really creative ones like ball games and stuff.
Sure. But yeah, I mean, and they're calling for unity, but they're calling for unity while saying you guys are the bad guys.
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, and one of the protesters whose name is, let's see, what was the name? Name is, I don't know, Casey something or other, told KSDK this.
We are not going to stand for this, and that immigrants belong in this country, and that we're going to stand for them.
Yeah, again, as you pointed out earlier, not differentiating between the legal, vetted, productive immigrants and then those who came to the country in violation of our law.
Correct. And, for me, I make a distinction. I'm all about immigration.
I legal immigration that are within the parameters based on what we need. There's really no economic question. It's been a very healthy thing. Illegal immigration.
That's a problem.
That's very little question that it's a detriment.
Yeah. And, I can get on board with saying we should reform our current immigration laws so that they're more streamlined and they are more conducive to welcoming people who are going to be, productive members of society. But if you came here breaking the law to get here, I would love to ask Casey or anybody else, would you just go to another country without following their laws?
Well, libertarian professor at Duke University, Mike Munger.
Okay.
He actually coined a very interesting phrase. He said, when it comes to immigration, the wall should be high, but the door should be wide. That was his take. That's pretty libertarian.
Yeah.
But what he said was, we need to absolutely, as a sovereign nation, have our walls and our life. But when it comes to the door, you got to come through the front door. We can be welcoming. But the bottom line is that the immigration system is to benefit our nation.
Right. We should have the right to say who gets to come and who doesn't get to come.
And change who we say can come or not come at any given time based on what we need. And keep in mind, when it comes to bringing in refugees from disasters or strife in country, we are the most generous nation in the world. You take every other country's acceptance of refugees, put it all together, it's still less than the United States, even right now.
Well, and to the point that we have temporary protected status that's gone on for 30 years for some people.
Yeah.
Temporary 30 years do not equate.
Right.
Sorry.
And so basically what you had here is the Renee Nicole Goods getting herself shot. That's the latest excuse. This is their latest martyr. I think that, honestly, the fringe hardcore left, I'm not saying every Democrat out there, but I think the fringiest of the fringe left, I think they want more of their own to end up in body bags because it promotes their cause and promotes their ideology.
Did you notice how quickly they dropped the griping over the shooting in Portland?
Yeah.
That happened a day later?
Yeah.
Why was that?
Yeah, because that guy was a gang member.
The guy and woman. Both of them were affiliated with TDA.
Yeah.
And were literally had criminal charges that they were being pursued for.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, okay. I understand the empathy, the emotion in relation to the Renee Good shooting. I do. But people aren't operating with facts.
Yeah, it's still a tragedy.
It is.
I mean, anybody who says, I'm seeing a lot of people making a lot of fun and getting a lot of laughing emojis. I'm like, a woman was killed. I mean, it's a tragedy.
It is a tragedy, but it doesn't negate our immigration laws or the ability of our government to enforce them, and it doesn't justify her cause.
No, and it doesn't change the fact that it's her own fault.
She put herself in that situation, and it's horrible what happened.
And if you want to blame other people, well, blame all the other agitators that she was working with.
Including her wife.
Yeah. And also the people who were not only egging on, but also were involved in the training on how to disrupt ICE.
That's exactly what I was going to say as well. Is the people that are handing out these brochures that are surfacing where it specifically instructs you to obstruct with vehicles, to surround ICE agents, to put yourself in danger you don't need to be in because they don't have any concept of what the legal codes are for the code of conduct and the response with force that ICE agents abide by.
It's like the whole sovereign citizen thought concept.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which has its own Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't believe in this law. I don't believe it should apply to me. So it's like you're trying to change the laws of physics. It's like you can't. You can lobby against it. You can argue for change. You can't just say it doesn't apply to me because I don't believe in it.
Your feelings don't dictate reality.
They do not, and I'm seeing.
I know so many people who need to learn that lesson. Your feelings do not dictate reality.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's sad and it's frustrating, and nothing changes the fact that it's horrible that this woman is dead. I mean, it is. And I'm not a big fan of the people that are just completely trying to demonize her. She made bad decisions. She clearly made bad decisions. Yeah. But I also feel horrible that she is gone. But just,
but you can be mad at her for that too.
Yes.
And you can be mad at her partner and all of her. Yeah, that's who to be mad at. Right.
And I'm mad at them because they brought the dog in the
I know.
What if something had happened to the doggy?
Can we just talk about for a second? I don't know if you guys saw the video that someone took from a window up high. It was like a 3-minute video, and it shows the whole thing. It shows her going sideways and blocking and then moving out of the way and letting people get by and then moving back into position. Mm-hmm. And the entire time, she is laying on the horn. So the dog's in the car while she's laying on the horn, and the dog in the window where the person that was filming is going nuts. It is like
I haven't seen that
running
video.
back and forth, like, so agitated. So I'm like, what? You're torturing the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like.
Now, the other question that we've all been pondering, though, is will Democrats succeed in bringing part of Obamacare back from the grave? We'll chat with Congressman Dr. Bob Onder about that at 7:35, right after Larry Connor's commentary.
But I can't control it, so stay away from me. The beast is ugly, I feel the rage and I just can't hold it. It's scratching on the walls, in the closet, in the halls. It comes awake and I can't control it. Hiding under the bed.
I could be a stupid person and say, oh no, we don't want.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We'll kickstart this work week with a warming trend before our next shot of cold air arrives midweek. Mostly sunny and dry today, though, with a southwest wind pushing us up to about 53 for the afternoon high. Nice, mild January day. Clear skies tonight, down to about 38 for the early morning low. Tuesday, though, is the pick day of the week, looking at a high of 61 tomorrow afternoon with increasing cloudiness. And then again, those temperatures tumble on Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home, too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit Vincent'sJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
The investigation into that ICE shooting, which killed a woman driver, is not over. More facts need to be gathered, but the latest video supports the officer's actions. The body cam of that officer who did the shooting shows Renee Good looking directly at him as she turns the wheels and accelerated. And that's when the officer opened fire. As the car went past, he appears to have been hit. Now, based on just that video, the officer was justified in shooting. But again, I say just that video. Did the woman intend to hit the officer, or was she simply trying to get away? Either way, in the process, she almost nearly hit her wife. There is one clear, indisputable fact. What happened in the street could have been avoided if she had just followed orders, stopped the car, and get out. It is that simple. That simple. DHS Secretary Noma stated, "You lay a finger on our officers, you will pay a price." Does that mean death every time? And did this officer intend to kill this woman? It doesn't mean either one of those. But in this case, the officer wanted to stop the woman. And again, if she had followed orders, stop, get out of the car, her family would not be planning a funeral.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
You should know that when I endorse Wellington Environmental, it's because I believe and know they will do you right. Wellington takes pride in providing homeowners and businesses whatever they need. You need some dustless blasting? They will take care of that. You need some mold remediation? They can do that. They take pride in training their team to perform multiple services and having the equipment ready to get jobs finished. That's important to you. You make just one call, and you call a company that's been around for more than 35 years with more than 45 technicians in the field. Most of you know finding good workers, then having them show up on time could be difficult. Not for Wellington Environmental. They're there at the designated time, ready to go. Check them out to see what they could do for you. Dustless blasting or anything else you need. Wellington Environmental, 314-644-4930. 314-644-4930. Be well with Wellington.
Producer Joey V from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show here, reminding you, don't waste a buck on movies that suck. Tune in to Joey V's Movies, Fridays at 5:45 for reviews you can trust. Brought to you by Harry J. Steakhouse and Ami's Pizza.
When water troubles strike, call the family you can trust. Tim Jones here for Ambassador Plumbing, serving our community since 2018 with 25 years of master plumbing expertise from Tim Morris and his handpicked team. Whether it's a simple faucet repair or a complete bathroom remodel, if water runs to it or through it, they do it. From residential service calls to commercial to new construction, the folks at Ambassador are your neighbors treating you like family. Ambassador Plumbing, where faith meets craftsmanship. 636-383-6932 or ambassadorplumbing.com. That's ambassadorplumbing.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Okay, are the Democrats about to get a win and get those Obamacare subsidies back? I mean, they're halfway home on that, or maybe a third of the way home on that. If you look at the whole process, even though Republicans are in the majorities throughout the federal government.
Right.
It's kind of weird that I'm asking the question, but this may happen. We are now joined by Congressman Bob Onder. And are the Obamacare subsidies back from the dead, Bob? I mean, is it possible that the Democrats could win on this? I mean, the Democrats' bill obviously needed some Republican votes, but it passes to bring back those Obamacare subsidies, and now we'll see what happens in the Senate.
Yeah, good morning. It's great to be back. Last week witnessed a really pathetic episode in the U.S. House of Representatives this year. First, 4 Republicans sided with Hakeem Jeffries to sign a discharge petition to bring, despite leadership, despite the committee process, to bring Hakeem Jeffries' 3-year extension of these COVID-era subsidies onto the House floor. And then when there was actually a vote, something like, I believe, 17 Republicans voted with Hakeem Jeffries. This is really pretty pathetic. When they do that, when folks side with the Democrats on a procedural move like a discharge petition, they're not just, bucking House Republican leadership, Mike Johnson and others, but every member of the Republican caucus by going against our policies, going against our procedure. Why elect Republicans when you're going to do the Democrats' bidding? But as you said, the bill then now, Hakeem Jeffries' bill now goes to the Senate. The good news is that the Senate voted on the identical bill before, and it failed by 9 votes. John Thune does not have to give this House measure a vote. Many bills get passed in the House and never get considered in the Senate. So I hope we're done with it. And I'm tired of the way the media is reporting that somehow the quote COVID subsidies are going to expire after this. With the expiration of the Democrat era COVID subsidies, Obamacare exchanges are still 78% subsidized. But what we're doing is getting rid of the massive fraud, especially in that zero premium category, where we have one Social Security number being used 126 times to send money to insurance companies and really not insure anyone at all.
Bob, the colleagues of yours that did vote for this, I guess I can understand at least politically an argument, hey, this is, I'm in a purple district. I've got constituents who are, hounding me for this. This is what my constituents want. But did any of them even make an effort to justify why they would agree to this without any sort of stipulations on income caps or, max or minimum pay into it or the expiration date?
Yeah, Susie, in fairness to those folks, I mean, I understand, I understand why they would vote for these, subsidies. They think they're in a vulnerable district and all. What's really offensive is that they sided with the Democrats to do this. In fairness to them, most of them said they did want income caps. They did want some sort of at least de minimis premiums, like $5 a month. So I think most of your listeners pay more than $5 a month for their health insurance. They said that's what they wanted, but Speaker Johnson offered them a vote on that, but at the end of the day, they said no, that's not good enough. They didn't like some other conditions that Speaker Johnson was making. So, okay, we'll go and work with Hakeem Jeffries instead. This is ridiculous, and I don't know that they'd be getting any Republican support at all, except that they do provide the handful of votes we need in this very, very tight majority that we have now. We really, right now, can only afford to miss one or to lose one vote if all the Democrats show up in order to pass things. So, but yeah, it's a pretty precarious situation in the U.S. House right now.
Okay, so if the Democrats get something, and for instance, we spoke with Phil Kerpen the other day, and he says, I'm guessing that there'll be some sort of compromise meeting in the middle in the Senate regarding bringing them back, but having some kind of income cap, and then sending it to the House, and then the pressure will be on going into the midterm elections to bring back the Obamacare subsidies. And he was afraid that the Republicans are going to cave and bring back a bad policy, even if it's a pared down bad policy. Well, if that happens, then do the Democrats, can they reasonably declare victory and their shutdown worked?
Well, in a way, I think that's true. Yeah, I mean, again, this is why we have a $38 trillion debt. We're right now we're working on the 12 budget bills. So far, the House has passed six of the 12. But that's not where the real money is. The real money is in the so-called entitlement programs. And Medicare and Social Security, they have their problems, but they have their own dedicated tax. The welfare programs, things like Medicaid, food stamps, Obamacare subsidies, that is what's driving our $38 trillion debt, our interest payments that are more than our defense budget. But yeah, if enough Republicans cave on this and side with the Democrats, it's a big victory for Democrats, for the welfare state, and ultimately what the Democrats want in healthcare is a single-payer socialized medical program like they have in Europe. So yeah, we've got to hold strong on this. From some senators have really who have a kind of a bead on this, don't think that there will be a vote leading to the COVID subsidy continuation, and I hope they're right.
Fingers crossed on that. Bob, you all in the House passed a healthcare-related bill back, I want to say it was in November. It was after the shutdown, and that was actually, I think, a good measure, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Yes. Is that in any way affected by this latest vote?
Yeah, I mean, no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't in any way be nullified or affected by the latest vote. But what it would do is decrease health insurance costs for all Americans, not just the 7% of people who are on Obamacare plans. It would, for instance, in Obamacare plans, it would bring premiums down by 11% by fixing a problem called cost share reduction. It's a complicated accounting thing, but that alone would decrease Obamacare premiums by 11%. It would allow association health plans so that groups of businesses could get together and offer non-Obamacare plans to their businesses. It would protect private insurance. That is my part of the bill. So we really there are many things we can do to bring down the cost of health care and health insurance, and we did that with that bill we passed right before the winter recess.
We're visiting with Congressman Bob Onder. Just got a minute or two left here, Bob. The Senate approved basically a resolution saying that the War Powers Act should be basically in force or involved in the discussion of further activity in Venezuela. I guess to some degree could be in other areas as well. What's your take on that? Now that that's passed the Senate, I think that the House would need to pass that in order for it to go into being enforced on this. But what's your read on that, and how should we be dealing with Venezuela at this point? Because it sure seems like we've basically taken over their oil industry, and we're kind of taking over the country, even though we don't have boots on the ground there.
Yeah, whenever I see the Democrats talk about war powers resolutions, I ask where was their war powers resolution when Bill Clinton bombed Yugoslavia for 78 straight days, or when Obama or Biden were launching cruise missiles in the Middle East. But yeah, I suppose it could happen that some Republicans could join all the Democrats with a discharge petition again and force a vote on this war powers resolution that passed the Senate. Of course, it will never come into effect because President Trump would veto it, and there's nowhere near 2/3 votes in either chamber, much less both chambers. But yeah, right now, I mean, we took out Maduro, who was, not only a narco trafficker, but really who had invited, China, Russia, Iran, Hezbollah into our hemisphere. We had Iran making offensive drones that could reach to Miami. We just, and sitting on the largest oil reserves in the world. This is just something that could not be tolerated. President Trump realized it, and he took action to defend the United States. I don't think the war powers resolution will go anywhere. The big challenge here, though, when you have a change of leadership in a country, is what comes next. So far, the vice president seems who is problematic as well. Seems to be the person who's the top government official right now. But the United States maintains enormous leverage over what happens next. So I hope there will be a peaceful transition, but of course without Nicolas Maduro.
All right, Congressman Bob Onder, appreciate the update. It's going to be an interesting week for you this week and next.
It is indeed. Thank you.
We'll be watching. We all love a great animal rescue story.
Oh, yeah.
We got one of those coming up next, and tell me something good. All right, it's that time of year. It's a little chilly out, so you're thinking about your furnace, you're thinking about your heating system. But when it comes to heating, cooling, and refrigeration, you got to trust the family that's been keeping St. Peter's comfortable since 1974. Pranger HVAC is small enough to care, but experienced enough to deliver. If you think you're being charged too much for a new system, you probably are. If you've got a competitor's bid, Pranger HVAC will beat it by 20% guaranteed. From home HVAC to commercial refrigeration, beer caves to restaurant coolers, Pranger does it all. They're licensed, they're insured, they guarantee 100% customer satisfaction. So if you are thinking about a new system or if you've got questions, you need to contact Pranger HVAC. You can call them at 314-640-9617 or you can find them on Facebook. They're family-owned and customer-approved.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
American Corporate Partners helps veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses find their next careers by connecting them for free with America's top companies. Learn more at acp-usa.org.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
My gosh, there's so much like heavy stuff.
Even with the monkeys and the goat.
Yes.
That doesn't quite get rid of the heavy stuff.
And if you are not already watching our stream on Rumble or Facebook or Twitter, X, are we streaming anywhere? YouTube, I guess. You really ought to be, because the monkey memes are worth it.
They are.
Or the monkey just AI images that Jerome's having way too much fun with over there.
He's having a lot of fun with them.
Are completely worth it. So there's that, and then also, Susie, I need you to tell me something good.
Good news, everyone.
I love this story. It's so sweet. It's out of Downey, California. Supper Club in Downey aims to support local businesses and promote human connection. A local woman didn't want to go to a restaurant by herself, so she came up with an idea. She started a club and invited strangers. It has since grown into quite a large group that now meets regularly. The Downey Supper Club meets once a month and is the brainchild of Janet Teal Minig. It's harder as you get older to make friends, and so I knew that this is the case for other people, Minig said. She came up with the idea over the summer after she wanted to check out a local restaurant, but she didn't want to go alone. So she put out an open invite on Facebook. Does anybody want to go to dinner with me at the Sizzler? This is part I love. Sizzler for the grand opening. If you do, join the Downey Supper Club, she wrote on the post. Surprisingly, people showed up, and the group has grown since. I was at another restaurant having dinner by myself, and Jan from this group dragged me over to the big table of people. It was a much smaller table than it is now, and that was 4 months ago. Since then, I've been to every event, Downey Supper Club attendee Carl True said. This is my first night here. I've been aware of the Supper Club for quite some time, but I haven't been able to get here, but now it's so much fun, attendee Kay Rodriguez said. The club's rules are simple. Support local businesses, and no one sits alone. It's tough to compete with the big chains, co-president of Chris and Pitt's Barbecue Restaurant said. This is a huge win, and I'm incredibly thankful to Janet for choosing us. You don't have to talk, but you have to sit with us. It's just kind of pulls people in and pulls them out of their shell. The invitation to break bread together goes out to folks outside of Downey as well, and the Supper Club says it's all about human connection.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
I like it. I think that's sweet.
Tell me something good.
Okay, this is kind of similar to one that we had last week. This one's Plushy Kindness Confetti. Hockey team's teddy bear toss collects 80,000 stuffed animals with help from local team.
Whoa.
Once a year, stuffed animals take flight inside an arena in Hershey, Pennsylvania, flying through the air in a cavalcade of color, creating sweet, cuddly mayhem on the ice. For a quarter century, the Hershey Bears, a minor league team in the American Hockey League, has been hosting the epic teddy bear toss game for charity. In the annual event, as soon as the home team scores its first goal, excited fans launch thousands of stuffed animals onto the ice, a chaos of colorful creatures, big and small, raining down from the stadium seats above the players. Play stops so all the stuffed animals can be collected and later donated to children in need throughout central Pennsylvania. For nearly an hour, workers corral thousands of plush toys scattered across the ice. Last year, the Hershey Bears set a world record by collecting 102,343 stuffed animals during the teddy bear toss. On Sunday, the team held its latest ceremony, during which Bears defenseman Louis Belpedio scored just 3 minutes into the game to unleash an aerial assault featuring 81,796 donated stuffed animals.
Okay, this is minor league hockey.
Yeah.
This isn't like the Blues where 18,000 people are there.
Correct.
So you've got
10 teddy bears like per person or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big deal.
That's
So
yeah,
a
an
lot
hour.
of stuffies
Stop
flying
the
through
game
the air
for an hour.
Mhm.
Wow.
Well, that's commitment. I appreciate that.
Wow.
There's more to that story, but I'm going to skip now.
Tell me something good.
Okay, this is the one I was alluding to earlier. It's titled Naughty Golden Retriever Rescued After Falling Through Frozen Pond.
Golden retrievers are never naughty.
Sometimes they're a little misguided.
As somebody who has a
I have
golden
one.
retriever, yeah.
She would totally do this. So, for a pair of Maine dog owners, 2026 started with a dreadful scare after their naughty golden retriever ran out onto a frozen pond and broke through the ice. Without any means of rescuing their pooch or resisting the deathly chill of the frozen water, the owners called 911 and hoped that firefighters could arrive in time. Bedecked in vibrant orange wetsuits, the emergency services got to work in the icy pond with one rescuer gently sliding across the ice and eventually paddling out to meet the dog, who had done a great job of keeping its head above water. In water that cold, warm-blooded animals not adapted to life in the Arctic or far north-south have mere minutes before the low temperatures bring on hypothermia, an inability to command and control the muscles in the extremities, and therefore the ability to continue to tread water. But the Goldie looked sharp and ready. Phone camera footage revealed when the rescuer arrived at the middle point of the pond. Securing it around the neck, the fireman gave the signal to pull in the rope attached to him, and the pair made it back to shore safely. Rescuers and the dog were examined for signs of hypothermia, but there was none to be found, and all got to retire to warmer environs.
How is that even possible? That the dog is that okay? That's amazing.
It is amazing, but it's good.
Tell me something good.
And now, your favorite part.
I love this part.
The national days.
Yes.
All right, today's Monday. It's Kiss a Ginger Day.
Okay.
Okay. It's also Clean Off Your Desk Day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. It's Marzipan Day.
It's what?
Marzipan. It's like a dessert or like a sweet.
I'm not
like a
familiar with
pastry.
what that is.
I think it's a pastry.
I've probably eaten one, but I don't know
Yeah,
what it is.
it's also Curried Chicken Day, so you can change it
okay.
up. And it's Pharmacist Day.
Oh, drug dealer day.
Yeah, drug dealer day. Legal drug dealer day.
Legal
That's
legal
right.
drug dealer in a white coat.
That's right.
Yeah.
With their name on it.
That's right.
Tomorrow, Tuesday, is Shop for Travel Day. Weird one. Korean American Day.
Okay.
Sticker Day.
Sticker day.
Stephen Foster Memorial Day. And Peach Melba Day.
Oh, okay.
Also a dessert.
Yeah, no. I know what peach melba is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tasty.
Yeah. Anything with peach in the dessert's gonna be pretty.
It's going to be pretty good. Wednesday is Ratification Day, celebrating the ratification of the Treaty of Paris on January 14th, 1784, which officially ended the Revolutionary War. It's Dress Up Your Pet Day. And it's Hot Pastrami Sandwich Day. Now, I'm thinking that sounds pretty good.
Not my favorite sandwich,
No.
but I
could
get
go
it.
for
I
one.
get it.
I could totally go for one. Thursday is Bagel Day.
Okay,
Like
I'm
that,
on board.
like that.
I'm on board. Yeah.
It's Booch Day, which is also known as National Kombucha Day.
Ah,
which is
okay.
That's a drink.
Yeah, I tried that once. I wasn't my thing, but people who
Is
love
it like
them.
Kahlua, or is it? No, it's like fizzy or something, right?
It's a very earthy
It's-
mushroom.
yeah, very very earthy. Yeah, it
doesn't sound good.
People who love it really really love it. I think it's one of those you either really love it or you really
I'm gonna
don't. Things.
pass on that. But it is also Strawberry Ice Cream Day. I like that.
I'm all about that.
It's
yeah.
Hat Day. And
Jerome's in,
it's Get to Know Your Customers Day. I
which
guess that's-
should be a good business
I was
practice
gonna
to
say,
start with.
Yeah, you should probably do that every day, really, honestly. And last but not least, we got Friday. It's Without a Scalpel Day. This one is interesting. It's actually advocating medicine and advancements that require or help heal without requiring surgery.
Oh,
So it's
I
like
see.
kind of looking like at a holistic approach to
I
things. So it's
see.
actually a good thing. Fig Newton Day. And
I like Fig Newtons.
I think I'm okay.
I try not to eat too much of the processed snacks anymore, but if we're gonna have one, those are tasty.
They're all right. It's Religious Freedom Day. Yay, we're
I'm
all for that.
All for that.
And it's Nothing Day.
Nothing day.
Yeah, in theory, it's the day to celebrate nothing. But I guess some of these people didn't get the memo.
Yeah, they didn't get the memo on that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Seinfeld, but it's like a day about nothing instead of a show about nothing.
Yeah, day about nothing. I could go for a day without nothing. There could be a use for that.
And 101 Straight Up says that on January 12th, 1878, fresh milk was delivered for the first time in glass bottles in New York City.
Yay, milkman.
There you go.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. When severe weather hits, scammers often follow. They may pose as charities, jack up prices on essentials, or offer fraudulent home repairs. I'm committed to protecting Missourians from those scams. If you've been targeted or suspect price gouging, report it to our office at 800-392-8222 or online at ago.mo.gov.
Paid for by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Hey, folks, Jamie Allman here for Newstedter's Fine Jewelry right there at Doherty Ferry and Big Bend. WowDiamonds.com. It's Wow Diamonds for a reason. These are beautiful lab-grown diamonds. They are gorgeous. They will blind you when you walk in and see them, but that's a good thing. Great engagement sets, wedding sets, all these beautiful God-created gems, sapphires, rubies, you name it, garnets, and also all the gold you need, and the famous bull of a watch, WowDiamonds.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
NPR, guess what? Got the funding, and they're going to close down operations. If they're not going to get federal funding, well, then guess what? There are plenty of radio salespeople out there in the United States who can sell time, big time. You know why they don't sell hire a sales team? Because nobody will buy advertising because they suck so bad.
Oh my God!
You don't see people.
You're so correct. That's it right there.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com. It's a pretty simple concept.
It is clear to me.
Let me make this clear.
Big events.
Your news and your opinions.
We're going to get out there and be heard.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Our voices are never heard in the media. We, the people, will always find a way.
And it's about time that we start putting up or shutting up.
Yeah, and you should
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Some major private New York City hospitals, Mount Sinai, Montefiore, and New York Presbyterian, have been hit by a nurses' strike.
The union says about 15,000 nurses are participating in the strike. The strike is hitting during a severe flu season and could potentially force hospitals to transfer patients, cancel procedures, or divert ambulances. It could also put a strain on city hospitals not involved in the contract dispute, as patients avoid the medical centers hit by the strike. Among the nurses' demands are manageable workloads and more workplace security. Hospitals say the union's demands are too costly. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Death to America, death to Israel, the same old chants from pro-government protesters sent onto the streets of Iran to counter anti-government demonstrators who continue their protests. Activists say more than 540 anti-government demonstrators have been killed so far. President Trump says Iran's government better not make good on a threat to target U.S. interests abroad.
We're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination. Why would they do that? We'll consider things targets that they would believe. If they do that, we will hit them at levels that they've never been hit before.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell contends the central bank's independence is at stake following the Justice Department's threat of a criminal indictment.
This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation.
Subpoenas and the threat of indictment stem from Powell's Senate testimony last summer. On Wall Street, ahead of this morning's opening bell, Dow futures down 324 points. The Nasdaq futures are off 192. More on these stories, townhall.com.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people. But it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people. More than 1 million people are now part of healthcare sharing because it just makes so much sense, especially right now. And MediShare is the gold standard. Members like it a lot. We know this from member surveys. MediShare's been around for...
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We'll kickstart this work week with a warming trend before our next shot of cold air arrives midweek. Mostly sunny and dry today, though, with a southwest wind pushing us up to about 53 for the afternoon high. Nice, mild January day. Clear skies tonight, down to about 38 for the early morning low. Tuesday, though, is the pick day of the week, looking at a high of 61 tomorrow afternoon with increasing cloudiness. And then again, those temperatures tumble on Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
It's more than a rebellion. When your teen is slipping into drugs or alcohol, when social media and pornography consume their time and their mind, when depression and even suicidal thoughts cast a shadow over your home, as a parent, you feel powerless. There is hope. At Turnabout Ranch, troubled teens step away from the chaos and into a clarity of nature on a working cattle ranch. Care for horses, learn responsibility, build trust, and rediscover purpose. It isn't theory, it's real work, real therapy, real healing. Families from across the country have found transformation right here, just when they thought hope was gone. If your teen is struggling with addiction, harmful online behaviors, even weight management, call right now and get the help you all need.
800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. That's 800-219-2494.
Mike Ferguson.
Big guy, one of the biggest in the world.
Susie Moore.
Do you think he's ready?
He's not ready.
Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, time to get stuff done. We had a lot of interesting conversations this past week when Susie and I did the show from the Capitol on the opening day of the legislative session. And when we say opening day, that's when it was gavelled back into session. It was very ceremonial, and I think a lot of glad handing in the hallways there and a lot of picture taking and all that sort of thing. But the real work gets underway in earnest this week. We're now joined by State Representative Ben Keathley, member of the Freedom Caucus. And Ben, appreciate you being back on here. So when you look ahead to this next session, one of the themes, really two of the themes that we heard when talking to members of the House and members of the Senate, talking to the governor, is that there seems to be a pressure on conservatives in particular, get stuff done, deliver some more conservative wins now that, you know, a lot of them know that you can do it from the 2025 wins, really make some big leaps, you know, tax cuts or elimination, regulatory stuff. What's the vibe in the Republican caucus right now as far as those kind of big conservative, big red things that conservatives want to see done?
Well, I think we're ready to do big things. We had a year last year where big conservative things were done, delivering the 7-1 map. IP reform was the big one. And this year, obviously, a big talk around tax reform.
Well, that's not good. Okay, we're going to try to get Representative Ben Keathley back here in just a second. I don't know what that was. But yeah, we'll start off there. We'll start off with the tax reform. Now, whether that looks like tax cuts, whether that looks like more simplicity, whether it looks like the governor's plan to absolutely eliminate it, which we're going to find out more about tomorrow because he's going to do basically his annual State of the State address on that as well. But there are some other things as far as like business regulations and things like that as well that we want to see get done. But one of the things that we were taught, what we heard over and over and over again is basically no more waiting, no more playing the game. Yes, it's hard to get legislation done, and there's a reason for that. But the conservative base of the Republican Party in Missouri is saying, okay, we don't want to hear, oh, gosh darn it, the time ran out at the end of the session in May. We want to see it happen, and we've got Representative Keathley back. You were just talking about the income tax. What's a good reform? I mean, there can be cuts, which can be fairly immediate. The governor is going to announce his details of his plan tomorrow at his State of the State address here. But what would you like to see done?
On the income tax, I think we do need to move to an elimination. Other states are going to. And whoever gets there fast is going to reap the most benefit of economic growth as people target our region, our area. We don't want to see those jobs and businesses move to states like Nebraska or Oklahoma or Tennessee, who already has no income tax. More and more states around us are moving to eliminate us. We need to be one of the leaders on it. But there's other tax reform that can't come at the expense completely of not doing anything about property tax, especially personal property tax. People have been asking for a long time for eliminating an unjust personal property tax system, and our real property tax system needs major reform too.
What can we do about that? I mean, it's been pointed out that most of those property taxes are all at the local level. So what is it the state can do? I personally think property taxes are maybe the most immoral tax that we have. And believe me, they're maybe one of the top two. But what is it that the state government's lane would be in that? And then, of course, you're going to have all the arguments from your school districts and library boards and things like that are saying, you're cutting our funding when really what they want is just a big raise every year.
Well, the state has tried to play a role before. You have the Hancock Amendment, which requires that we have actual input from the voters before we ever raise taxes. But after 40 years, there have been loopholes carved out. There have been litigation victories for local governments, and there are caps that go ignored. And there are elections with, special elections and April elections with 5 and 10% turnout that raise taxes on everybody. There's a lot of procedural stuff. We need to respect the caps under Hancock. We need to have elections where we have actual meaningful input from voters, not special elections that are hidden, essentially backdoor tax hike elections. There's a lot of procedural stuff we can do to get a better grasp on the tax rates and slow down everyone's massive tax bill increases.
Yeah, I spoke with one of the members of the St. Louis County Council a few weeks ago, and he was talking about their economic woes because of all the overspending. He said, there's a little, he said, under the law, there's a little bit of room. We actually could raise the property taxes just a little bit, a few dollars per household without a vote. And he wasn't saying that they were going to do that, but I was shocked to hear that they could do that and that was even allowed in any way, shape, or form.
Well, in Town and Country, what was it last year? They put in a brand new property tax without going to a vote of the people. They justified some vote that was taken back in the early 90s and said, well, they approved it back then, and we're just choosing to wait till now to implement it. Tricks like that, tactics like that, people don't even realize that Hancock has a provision that requires that your property tax bill can't go up more than CPI, capped at 5% every year. But everyone knows their property taxes are going up more than that. There's a lot of procedural stuff that they use to loophole around that. We need to tighten all that up. We need to fix all of that and get back to real property tax caps and protections for the voters.
We spoke with State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick, who's kind of put out a clarion call saying if spending isn't reined in, and he told us that doesn't mean just limiting the growth. That means actual cuts, fewer dollars this year as opposed to last year or the year before. He thinks that there is possibly a severe, crisis coming to the state government. The government's fine right now as far as what's in the reserves, but he says it's unsustainable the direction that's going. In an election year, is it possible the legislature would have the guts to actually cut spending and spend less money? Because that means reducing the reach and the scope of government.
Well, I think we should have the guts, certainly. I don't think I take a little bit different of an opinion of this. I don't think it is politically unpopular to have responsible spending. We cut spending back in 2023 when we did the budget. There was no decrease in services or cuts to any programs that were felt by taxpayers in any way. There's a lot of places where we can get a better handle on our expenses. There's always room to go. We've seen a huge balloon to the budget over the last several years. It's time that we start tracking those and getting back to what we need to do in the essentials. I think limited government is popular. It's certainly popular with Missourians. And if we deliver that, the voters will actually appreciate those cuts.
We're visiting with State Representative Ben Keathley. And Ben, of course, obviously a lot of news that's going on in Minnesota and all the fraud, but those are federal social programs in the federal program right there. I don't sense that Missouri has that level of problem, or we have any reason to believe that. I'm sure we're much better run than that. But is there a case to be made for we should look at all of these programs just to see if there is any waste or fraud happening here as part of that discussion to reduce spending and as part of that discussion to justify tax cuts?
Well, we should always be looking at all of that. I think we owe it to the taxpayers as stewards of their dollars. This is not government doesn't have its own money. Government only has the taxpayers' money. And whether you believe it's happening or not, complacency can't sleep in. You need to be constantly monitoring these programs. One area where Missouri could improve, and where we don't even know, what kind of fraud could be out there, is we do not have a lot of the same safeguards on Medicaid spending that other states do. Things like double billing, whether someone is on a Medicaid payroll submitting it from another state, we don't check things like that. There are things we can do, and Medicaid is a huge part of the spend of the overall budget. Missouri, we hope we certainly don't have anything like the Somali daycare fraud, but that doesn't just happen because you say it doesn't happen. You need to actually be checking it and always be checking it.
Yeah, now as you head into the actual work that's going to get underway, probably you'll arrive back, tomorrow at the Capitol?
Today,
okay.
There'll be committee meetings and floor action today, whether there's nothing out of committee, so it'll be light today again, and later this week we'll see it start picking up.
Okay, is there going to be an effort to front load the really big stuff like, tax cuts or elimination early on? Because that's been the frustration in years past, although we saw some reason to be hopeful with some momentum last year, that some of the big stuff got kind of socked back later, and then you ran into that constitutional deadline, and then basically a lot of Republicans went, well, we tried, but gosh darn it, the time ran out on it, the clock ran out. That kind of shows the importance of putting the big stuff up front. What's the strategy that leadership is looking at right now to address these biggest issues?
Well, I think it's a tale of two different chambers, like it always is. I think in the House you'll see things, especially the priorities. You'll know what's important when it starts moving in the House really quickly. The House tends to move things better, especially the big caucus priorities. The Senate is always a different story. There's real political challenges to maneuvering that body. It is a body that is built. The rules are built on deliberation and slow action, and making sure that legislation is carefully thought out. There's political reasons why you can't do things right away, especially if it requires calling a previous question and sitting anyone down on a filibuster. You could risk shutting the chamber down. So I expect to see quick action on a lot of these big conservative priority actions early in session on the House side. The Senate side, there's a lot of stories that'll be left to unfold between now and the end of session.
And what's on top of your to-do list this year, Ben?
Well, tax reform is obviously the big one. I think that's a top priority for hopefully most Republicans. It really should be for almost all members of the General Assembly. The other big one is regulatory reform. I filed the REINS Act for the third year in a row. That had bipartisan support last year in committee, and was the most heavily co-sponsored bill. Provides a lot needed oversight and reform to how we do regulatory rules. A lot of our laws that we're living under are put in place not by our elected officials, but unelected, faceless bureaucrats who drown us in paperwork and red tape. We need to start getting rid of that and shrinking government at that end, too.
All right, Ben.
So that'll be another big area I'm working on.
All right, Ben, we've already tagged you on social media. What's your website? People want to stay in touch with you, follow what you're doing, or if they've got questions.
BenKeathley.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at BenKeath.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ben. Appreciate it. All right. Got some thoughts on that? 314-912-1019. And by the way, there's still that whole fraud thing to look into in Minnesota. Don't think for a minute that the ICE controversies basically eliminated that from news. It's still there. We've got an update for you on that in the news dump at 8:20.
Some people start their day with coffee. A lot of us start our day wondering, why did my mattress do me like that? If that's you, Snooze Mattress and Wellness in Chesterfield can help. Right now, save up to $900 on Stearns and Foster adjustable sets and up to $700 on Beauty Rest Black during our year-end event. Just walk in, no appointment needed. We'll run a quick sleep assessment and match you to a system built for real deep rest. If you want to feel human in the morning again, come say yes to better sleep. Snooze Mattress and Wellness in Chesterfield. Sleep restored, life renewed.
Looking for unbelievable deals? Stop by Overstock Outlet in Lake St. Louis or Warrenton, open 7 days a week. Discover big savings on a huge variety of merchandise with no hassle. Just great prices. Visit us in Lake St. Louis on Highway N or in Warrenton on Boones Lake. Check out our Facebook page at Overstock Outlet Lake St. Louis or go online to overstockoutletstl.com. Unbeatable value, friendly service, and you never know what we'll have at Overstock Outlet.
Now that I'm retired, I'm worried about making ends meet. Food, medicine, and rent cost more every day. And that's why I used benefitscheckup.org. It connected me to an extra $1,000 a month. Benefitscheckup.org is a free service from the National Council on Aging. In a few clicks, older adults like me can see if they might qualify for money-saving programs. If you're on a fixed income, benefitscheckup.org might help you too. For free, visit today.
Supported by the U.S. Administration for Community Living.
And then the media.
101.9 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, Departments of Justice and Homeland Security double down.
Ooh.
Yeah, despite the protest and the pushback, they are not going to stop going after illegal aliens. Basically, from what we've seen from the crew that's in charge of all of this, my guess is that they're probably going to ramp up.
Oh, I would imagine.
Even the physicality of what's happening around the country. Also, President Trump threatening Iran with military action. And watch out for monkeys. Watch out for the monkeys. I'll tell you why here in a second in the news dump. It is 8:19. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
Okay, so we had protests across the country, including here in the St. Louis area, and this is in response to the shooting of Renee Nicole Good, who got herself shot when she drove her vehicle at an ICE officer in Minneapolis. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo, saying ICE is going to continue, and this is part of that doubling down that I was talking about.
We're going to continue to, if they conduct violent activities against law enforcement, if they impede our operations, that's a crime, and we will hold them accountable to those consequences.
Basically, what they were saying is she weaponized her video, and when you look at the multiple angles of the video from that scene, that's sure... Frankly, to me, it's apparent that is what happened, and the fact that some people are arguing differently is kind of amazing to me, because you have to just simply ignore every shred of evidence that's right in front of you.
Yeah, the people that are trying to deny and twist this, they have no interest in being accurate and factually correct. But I will also put, if these anti-ICE groups actually wanted to do something good for their people, they could hand out pamphlets that show the actual legal codes of how ICE is allowed to respond to things, so people are not putting themselves in these situations to begin with.
Yeah, and what they're putting out there, as we've discovered, is just not true.
It's endangering. It's things that can get you either arrested or worse.
Yep, and here in the St. Louis area, one of those protests happened. At least a couple hundred people, basically kind of the left-wing typical group that you're seeing from time to time. They marched through at least one street. They demonstrated at Shaw Park in Clayton over the weekend, speaking out, obviously, against ICE's enforcement of our immigration laws. Here's what protester Casey Kester had to say to KSDK.
We are not going to stand for this, and that immigrants belong in this country, and that we're going to stand for them.
And a lot of the other signs were basically, from what you see in the video and see in the pictures, your basic anti-Trump signs.
Of course.
They're everywhere. All right, 3 Minnesota congressional Democrats, including Ilhan Omar, denied access to an ICE detention facility just outside of Minneapolis over the weekend. Omar then went to kind of a rally and a protest to say they wanted to see how federal money was being spent.
We are expected by the public to do oversight because the public requires their money be used with transparency and accountability. And what happened today is ICE agents deciding that we were no longer allowed to fulfill our constitutional duties.
Okay, so suddenly now Ilhan Omar is worried about transparency and accountability after trying to run cover for all of the Somali fraud.
Yeah, I agree with her statement, but maybe she should be the one that starts looking at, I don't know, the state that she represents.
So speaking of all of that, the House Oversight Committee heard testimony from Minnesota Republicans about the widespread welfare fraud in that state. Those lawmakers accusing Governor Tim Walz and State Attorney General Keith Ellison of ignoring and even silencing whistleblowers. Committee Chair James Comer, Republican out of Kentucky, was on Fox's The Big Weekend Show, and he's calling on Democrats to testify and asking government employees to alert Congress about fraud regardless of which state it's in.
I don't care if it's Republican fraud or Democrat fraud, Somali fraud or American fraud. It doesn't matter. We want to get serious about identifying waste, fraud, and abuse, eliminating it, and holding people accountable.
So the Department of Health and Human Services is pausing federal child care subsidy payments to several states, and they are strengthening requirements to continue receiving the aid to all of the states.
Yeah, I think cutting as much federal aid as possible to Minnesota, especially given now with what's going on with these protests, but until specifically an investigation is completed into how these funds were allowed to be defrauded from the people, is the only logical decision to be made.
Well, without a doubt. All right, President Trump says Iran has reached out to the U.S. about some proposed negotiations.
The president said his administration is in talks to set up a meeting with Iranian officials after he threatened action in response to a crackdown on protesters in Iran. Donald Trump said Iran wants to negotiate, but he also said the U.S. military is looking at some very strong options. He promised to hit Iran hard if they killed protesters, and activists say the death toll has reached several hundred. Greg Clugston, Washington.
There's really something remarkable happening in Iran right now. I mean, we're talking, an uprising to overthrow the authoritarian regime.
Yeah.
And that's a great, great, great thing. I don't know that we have a role in that, but the brutality of that regime is on full display, and they have killed protesters because authoritarian regimes will do that. But they have. There's really interesting to see if you're not tracking what's happening in Iran right now, you really should be.
Yeah, it's amazing to see the people coming together to overthrow this authoritarian regime. But also, we need to be, if we're going to do anything regarding Iran, we need to be very strategic and very sensitive to not potentially make things worse.
Yeah, it's not our job to fix every country around the world. It's just not our job to be the world's policeman.
Although I got to say, it is kind of funny that we were giving these warnings out and they were ignored, and now he's like, wait, I'm ready to negotiate.
Oh, we
now.
see what's happening because they know the missiles and bombs will come. It's just a matter of, I get the leverage on it, but we don't need you. And conservatives used to be the ones who said we don't need to be the world's policeman. It's not our job. So I would love to see a little more of that within the conservative movement. Okay, U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia opening a criminal investigation into Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. Yeah, they're focusing on the renovation of the central bank's Washington headquarters and whether he was truthful in his congressional testimony about the project and specifically about the cost, because the cost overrides are significant, as in hundreds of millions of dollars more than what was anticipated.
Oh, yikes.
That's according to a report by the New York Times. Powell put out a video late last night saying this investigation is actually being done because Jerome Powell has angered President Trump.
This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation.
Okay, so some of the reasons that the Federal Reserve says the cost overrun is happening is because of this is what they're saying, extensive asbestos that has to be removed and contamination, and also just inflationary costs on a lot of the materials. And so there's a big he said versus he said thing going on. But President Trump has had this kind of feud against Jerome Powell now, basically since day one of his administration.
So it's not necessarily the case that it's, you did not follow my orders, prepare for legal trouble. It could be the case that they had a projection or an idea of what they should be at, and then they found, the leaky faucet, they found the hole in the roof, and then that increased the cost of operations.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. And they're also saying, the president's been telling us to reduce interest rates, we're independent, and we chose not to do it the way he said to do it, and now we're being criminally investigated as well. Whether or not that's the case, I guess it remains to be seen. You notice gas prices still falling. Yeah. Gas prices have gone down 10 cents over the last 3 weeks to a new national average, of $2.89 per gallon.
Very nice.
National. So
Yeah.
it's cheaper than that in most gas stations around here. Trilby Lumberg of the Lumberg survey came up with that number. Now, despite the decline in recent weeks, though, she is warning about possible price increases in the near future.
This price is 27 cents lower than it was just 7 weeks ago. It's 45 cents lower than it was at its high point of last year, early April. Plus, versus last year, it's a 24-cent discount. The trouble is oil prices are up, and so this price decline might come to an end fairly quickly.
Okay, so Lumberg is adding that the recent events in Iran and Russia and Venezuela could impact gas prices. So basically, what you look at is every step of the process, from the drilling to the refineries to the wholesale distribution, then to your gas pump. And she's saying, okay, at that part right there, prices are going up, which means eventually that's going to be reflected unless there's a change in supply and demand.
So should we be getting out like the 1 gallon buckets
No.
and fill? Nope, not yet. All right.
No, but it like what was it? What was I saw? I think I saw 249 the other day. I think I saw, so, it may be 255 a little bit later. So even if it goes up, we're still in pretty good shape for a while.
Oh, yeah. At the end of 2024, it was like $3.15. So I'll take whatever discounts we can get.
All right. Apparently, there's a monkey problem in part of the area. Yeah. St. Louis Animal Control is looking for some vervet monkeys that have been spotted in the O'Fallon Park area of the city. No word on who lost their monkeys, but somebody had some monkeys, probably illegally, because these are considered exotic pets. Multiple reports say there could be as many as 4 monkeys on the loose. Now, if you see one, Animal Control in the city says call them, do not approach the monkeys. Even if they seem friendly, don't approach the monkeys.
Yeah, if you see the 4 monkeys, call me, because those 3 monkeys need to get to where they're going, and we can't let 2 monkeys out there be
No.
afraid, because that one monkey that's out there is lonely.
Yeah, no, and you can't have the monkey.
I want the monkeys, Mike.
See, you say that, but I'm going to be the one that has to walk it and feed it and take it out on its. I know how this goes. Okay. Also, someone's goat got loose and is roaming around the city. This one's probably not a threat. Goats are actually fairly even tempered, but they might eat your front yard.
Yeah, I mean, they can cause a little damage that way. Headbutt you in the leg, leave a little bruise.
Yep. All right. Blues not playing today. They're back at home on Tuesday. Hurricanes will be at the Enterprise Center tomorrow. Blues season, it's struggling right now. I mean, they've had a couple moments where they really put something together. Not happening right now. 17, 21, and 8. They have fallen to second to last place in the Central Division.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We'll kickstart this work week with a warming trend before our next shot of cold air arrives midweek. Mostly sunny and dry today, though, with a southwest wind pushing us up to about 53 for the afternoon high. Nice, mild January day. Clear skies tonight, down to about 38 for the early morning low. Tuesday, though, is the pick day of the week, looking at a high of 61 tomorrow afternoon with increasing cloudiness. And then again, those temperatures tumble on Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary with Jimmy Fallon next.
New Year's resolutions sound great on January 1st, but January 10th, not so much. This year, there's one resolution worth keeping, getting your finances in order. For many people, that starts with balance, not just growth, but protection too. And that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. For over a decade, they've made it easy for investors to add gold and silver to their portfolios and reduce market risk. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult with your tax or financial professional before making investment decisions.
Here's Jimmy Fallon.
Is a lot of people are getting elected based on their ability to become the story. Trump broke the model in the sense that he was the first guy to game social media, the first politician to really get out there and avail himself in a way that traditional politicians would not. Okay, up until Trump hit Twitter, every time you saw a politician on TV or in front of a microphone or behind a camera, it's because somebody had carefully written up a soundbite for them to utter out in a 30-second bite so it would sound good on the news that night and reflect favorably on the politician and his agenda. Trump showed up doing it the complete opposite way. And yes, it was refreshing to a lot of people who were tired of being infantilized and spoken to like children, all the American people, that whole thing. But what folks don't realize about Trump and that appeal is that there were policies behind what he was doing.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for Santino's. It isn't just a cigar lounge. It's an experience spanning 2 levels of pure sophistication. Handcrafted cocktails, authentic Sicilian cuisine with sauces made from scratch. The state-of-the-art smoke filtration keeps the air pristine, while the separate non-smoking wine room offers a perfect alternative. Members enjoy the lowest rates with premium benefits, including the ultimate climate-controlled humidor. Santino's, just off Highway 55 at the Imperial exit, SantinoCigarCocktails.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Jim Talent, former U.S. Senator, did Pete Hegseth commit a war crime, in your opinion?
No. My only concern is that we're not getting enough drug boats. It's the first effective thing I can remember we've done to strike at these cartels, not only to take out particular shipments of drugs, but to deter others. And I'm not going to cry crocodile tears for any of them.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
I answered the call. Together, we fought for our nation and its people. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will continue to support my country and my community. Then and now, Semper Fidelis remains my promise. Always faithful, always Marine.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
Okay, President Trump made a statement on social media the other day and basically said we're cracking down on credit card companies.
Which in theory sounds
well,
great.
Who likes credit card companies? Nobody likes credit card companies. People like having access to credit on a pretty easy
We like spending the credit.
Right. But he said we're cracking down. We're going to only allow them to have a 10% APR, 10% annual percentage rate for 1 year. And he just declared that on social media, And so he was asked about this on Air Force One. Now, the first part, I'm playing the question, but there's like the airplane noise in the back. And so what you've got is the reporter saying, hey, I want to ask you about what you said the other day on the credit card rates. And in case you can't make out what she's saying, she's asking, what if the credit card companies don't comply with this?
Can I ask you, the announcement on the cap on credit card interest rates came out on Friday. What happens if the credit card companies don't comply by the January date?
Well, then they're in violation of the law.
No, they're not. They're simply not.
Very severe things. No, I want a cap on credit card interest rates because, some of them are 28, almost 30%. And the people don't know they're paying 30%. The people out there, they're working, and they have no idea that they're paying 30%. No way. We're putting a 1-year cap at 10%.
Okay, so no, he's not. and the thing is, that is so demonstrably false. And when he said they're violating the law, listen, Donald Trump is a very, very smart man. He knows that's not true. So that's just a lie. And if you're one of those who says, well, he's just trying to negotiate and put leverage, I get that. But basically when he says terrible things, severe things are going to happen if they violate this, his truth social posts are not law. But let's talk about the idea. Matter of fact, just a moment ago, Trump economic advisor Stephen Moore was just asked about this on a national broadcast, literally 3 minutes ago. And he said, of course, that price controls and price caps set by the government are a bad idea. Mm-hmm. So even President Trump's arguably most trusted economic advisor is saying this is a terrible idea. And he's right. Steve's right. We've had Steve on the show. Matter of fact, you can hear Steve's program twice every weekend right here on News Talk STL. But compare that to, say, Zoran Mamdani's argument that that government should control. Well, New York City has rent control. that they should crack down more, and government sets the rental rates and what rents can be increased and what prices can be increased for housing. Go back to Bernie Sanders, who has argued for price controls on things like food and everyday, items, everyday goods that we all use. Josh Hawley says, I'll put legislation in place that caps the pay that executives can make. Now, he was talking specifically of, federal contractors, defense contractors, but he's been very, very pro-labor union. He's got onto this tripe about the difference between CEO pay and worker pay, which is economic nonsense. And so you've got, in this case, I've just listed 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats who have basically been arguing the same thing. Government should set the price controls. Government should set the caps. Now, I ran the math real quick. I just asked 10% APR, which is what President Trump said. And the populist thing goes, great, I'm spending so much, that'll help me out so much. Do you know what that monthly interest is to get to a 10% APR rate? So the interest rate, you have $100 on a credit card. Mm-hmm. And the interest you would have to pay if you're a day late, 0.833%. So the credit card company would only be able to charge you 83 cents if you're late on your monthly bill.
I mean, well, if you are as a late fee, or if you pay, but
no, that would be your total bill.
Okay.
What you owe plus the interest on that would be 83 cents on your $100. Okay. And you may say, sounds good to me. Well, it's going to cost them more than that to process your payment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sympathetic. I don't carry a credit card. I have my debit cards, my bank cards. If I can't afford it, I don't buy it. I have not physically touched a credit card. I mean, and we have one for, emergencies or whatever my wife wants. But I personally have not used an actual credit card in years. I just don't do it.
That's smart.
Yeah. And the unintended consequence of government setting the price controls in, whether it's an R or a D price control, is that whatever it is you're trying to control is the supply of it is taken away from those who need it the most. We spoke with economist Howard Wall a couple hours ago. That's going to be up on our podcast here in a little bit. I really encourage you to hear that conversation. You're talking about a pretty libertarian economist here. And he says, okay, so if you want to cap the interest rates, well, that sounds great because nobody should be paying 20, 25, 30% interest. I don't because I don't use it. But the point is, and Stephen Moore just made this argument literally 5 minutes ago. What's going to happen is the access to the credit, the access to the capital is going to dry up because the people who need it the most, who may not be they may be the lowest of the income who qualifies for a credit card, they're now not going to have access because they become too high of a risk.
Mm-hmm.
So you cap the interest rate, that cost has to be passed on to somebody. And if you're not allowed to do that, then you simply pull back to the highest risk customers. So instead of people having an opportunity to access capital or to pay that emergency bill or to whatever it is, they're going to be denied that at some point, which is why this is a terrible, terrible economic policy. The same thing goes for Zoran Mamdani and New York leftists. It didn't start with him. It's been going on for years and years and years. What has the rent control done in New York City? It's put tens of thousands of literally tens of thousands of housing units, apartment units, condos vacant. You say, well, why would it be vacant? Because let's say it's renting for $3,000 a month, which would be an incredibly cheap deal in New York City. Mm-hmm. It's renting for $3,000 a month. Rent control says you can only increase it, and I don't know what the percentages are. Let's just say 10%. Well, it can only go up to $3,300 then. But many of these housing units have to be remodeled or repaired or brought up to code or just updated. And the cost to do that now is far more than these landlords are going to be able to make. So it makes more financial sense to just leave it empty than to spend tens of thousands of dollars renovating or bringing up to code when they're never going to be able to get that back. So you are providing a disincentive for
investors, for business owners, for landlords to provide the housing. And so you've reduced the number of housing units. So you've reduced the supply. If the demand stays the same, it pushes the prices up. But if you're not allowed to meet that demand, then you just have fewer units available. More people cannot access the thing that they need.
Yeah, and especially with the way that I think a lot of us that were not raised to be financially literate were trained during the COVID years, is that you need to have credit. You need to be able to learn how to, finance your DoorDash and your groceries. And there are people that I know where, because of how unstable their regular job is, with seasonal hour cuts, for example, things of those nature, they become reliant on having a credit card even for groceries sometimes.
Right, yeah.
So limiting the amount of people that have access to credit is definitely an issue, but we also think this is a good sign of why financial literacy is so much important.
Crucial.
And Scooter actually points out that back in the 70s, you were able to deduct the interest payments on your credit cards from your taxes. Now, I wasn't anywhere near alive for that.
I wasn't doing I was alive back then, but I wasn't doing my taxes. I have never been allowed to deduct that, but I have not used credit cards for years. Mm-hmm. So I know you can deduct interest on things like student loans. And you can deduct some interest on mortgage loans. I have not heard that about credit cards. If that used to be the case, that's one thing. But I don't talk to your tax professional, but I don't think you can do that now.
Yeah, and I mean, if it was the case, though, I do think that's a better alternative, because there are, and it's not necessarily the faults of the people offering the service, but there are a lot of predatory loaning.
Oh, definitely.
And that I think that conquering that and addressing that more and incentivizing more fair and less predatory practices would probably do a lot better for everybody in the economy.
Well, more competition will do that, though. I mean, like, for instance, there was that big crackdown a few years ago on the predatory loans, the payday loans. Terrible. Mm-hmm. 100, 200, 300, 400% interest on those loans. And so everybody came in and said, government's got to do something. We don't like this business model. And very little opposition other than economists going, wait a minute. Where are these located? In the poorest parts of town. That's why we got to do something about it. Okay, so they shut down most of those, and now people don't have access to emergency funds. Would they be exploited if they don't pay the loan back quickly? Sure, maybe. But it was a voluntary transaction. Is it the government's job to stop a bad deal? Is it the government's job to stop you from getting into a bad deal? Anytime you set in price controls by the government, you affect the supply and demand, and you end up with unintended consequences of hurting the people you're planning to help. That doesn't mean I love financial corporation conglomerates that are international. I don't want to do business with them. I don't like them either more. But what I like less is government trying to take over more of the decision-making that belongs to me as an individual.
Very well put. We would like to also invite you to join the Freedom 13 in News Talk STL in honoring our heroes. The Salute Our Troops Gala night takes place on Friday, February 27th at the Foundry Arts Center in St. Charles from 6 to 11 p.m. The Freedom 13 organization was created to not only remember and honor Jared Schmitz and his 12 fellow American heroes, but every American hero that made the ultimate sacrifice. Their mission is a simple one: to keep our veterans and police officers and to help our veterans and police officers and their families. So go to NewsTalkSTL.com for all the details and to purchase tickets.
42% of Missouri fourth graders can barely read. 42%. It's the worst result in 20 years. If kids can't read by third grade, they fall behind in school, and many never catch up. But other states have provided a roadmap for success. Missouri needs one universal reading test for all third graders and one clear statewide standard for what it means to pass that test. A struggling reader who still can't read after extra help and a second chance at the test should repeat third grade with some exemptions. We also need to end the outdated 3Qing method, which encourages guessing instead of reading, and require teachers to be trained in the science of reading. In Mississippi and Indiana, test scores jumped up dramatically after these reforms, and Missouri can do the same. Missouri children deserve to become confident, capable readers, and strong early literacy reforms can make it happen. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by the Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link.
You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 4:25. At 5:25, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Weekdays at 4
on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
Okay, one quick follow-up. DMCCB handle on Rumble has a really interesting point that I forgot about.
Ooh.
Says, my father paid cash for everything and then couldn't get a cell phone until he built a credit history. And then he went on later to say, I've done personal finance presentations locally in high schools, and how to start building credit is in my presentation. I didn't even think about that, but that is a great point. So let's say that the president gets his way and he can unilaterally declare you're only allowed to charge 0.833 monthly interest rate, which means you are guaranteed to lose money just on the processing part of all of this. What's going to happen is the people who are going to not have access are the people that he's referring to right here that need to build a credit. So that's part of the unintended consequences of that. Now, I don't think you should hand every 18-year-old a credit card.
No.
You should not hand most 18-year-olds a credit card. There are other ways to build credit. That's not the way. But that's the point, is that some people strategically need to build credit, and unfortunately a credit score does matter. So, you have to keep that in mind. And so you're not, he's talking like he's cutting off the credit card companies from being able to charge people as though nothing's going to change. But what he's actually doing is talking about cutting credit opportunity and access to capital off of probably some of the poorest people in America.
Yeah, and that's definitely, it's not a great thing to have to deal with that and struggle with that if that's going to be the case. The unfortunate reality as well, though, is that we're a lot of people that don't have a financial discipline, I would call it, are also sometimes getting these credit cards, maxing them out, getting a high rate, and they're ruining their own rates because of that. And then they get in a situation where it's like you can't keep up with interest
I had to learn that the hard way in my early 20s.
Yeah.
It took me forever to get out. I learned stuff the hard way, but I didn't. I don't want government to come in to say, I'm going to protect you from yourself. As we were banding, kind of bouncing around in the studio here today, personal finance and basic economics, real economics, Thomas Sowell type economics,
yes,
should be taught in every high school in this country. Now, I think Missouri has a requirement for personal finance. I don't know how good the program is, but this should absolutely be taught as part of core curriculum, as in if you don't pass this class, you cannot graduate.
Or at least you can't get a credit card.
Yeah, well, maybe that too. All right, you know what I think of celebrity news, right?
You absolutely love it, don't you?
I've got a guy that I know in my baseball league. He makes his living by chasing down celebrities all over the place and getting their autographs, and then he deals in like the autograph cells. That's how he makes his living.
So like a memorabilia kind of guy.
Kind of, except he focuses on like Hollywood types.
So like paparazzi?
Paparazzi type.
Okay.
And that's his thing. He actually, I saw an article about him. I think it was in one of the Hollywood papers, because he pissed off Kanye West, and Kanye West punched him, and he settled for a huge amount of money. And so I play against him in the leagues, but I just can't stand celebrity anything. If he goes, hey, I got this autograph, you want to buy it? I couldn't care less on him. But he makes a living doing it. There's a big demand for it.
Well, thank you for giving me my idea for my retirement fund.
There,
so I just gotta get
exactly.
punched out by Taylor Swift.
Just make sure. Yeah, and then the great thing is that it won't hurt.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how tough Kanye West is. My guess is that he's not going to hurt either. But yeah, that happened. But there was one of the award shows last night. and Nikki Glazer, St. Louis's own Nikki Glazer, was the host of it. So I didn't watch it, but one of these soundbite services we subscribe to kind of sent me one of these clips, and I did think this was kind of funny. Here's part of what she had to say in her opening monologue.
Good evening and welcome to the 83rd Golden Globes. Yes, the Golden Globes, without a doubt the most important thing that's happening in the world right now. I cannot believe the amount of star power we have in this room tonight. It's insane. There's so many A-listers. And by A-listers, I do mean people who are on A-list that has been heavily redacted, but... And the Golden Globe for Best Editing goes to the Justice Department. And the award for Most Editing goes to CBS News. Yes. CBS News, America's newest place to see BS News.
Now, of course, the leftists don't like Barry Weiss and what she's tried to do there. We talked about that last week. So, but still, they have not redeemed themselves. So I'm still going to take that as pretty funny. And the on a list of things that were redacted. Oh my gosh. I'm thinking they're saying it out loud in Hollywood. That's hilarious. That's actually Nikki Glazer recognizing her audience isn't all the Hollywood people. Her audience is everybody watching on TV.
Yeah, and that's something that I think a lot of these celebrity types forget is because they're so used to having their yes men, and then you get your awards, you get the magazines that want to know everything about you. They start to forget that it is we the people that actually are the ones paying to go see you on the screen. I know that there were a couple celebrities that were there. Who's that guy that played the Hulk in the Avengers?
Oh, I have no
idea.
I
Mark something,
don't
but he had a little pin on for Renee Good and was trying to make this a political statement, talk about how somber it is and all that.
Oh,
but,
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
he's an idiot.
Like, come on, man. Like, this is not the time and place for that. If you're going to get an award or you just enjoy the vibes, but I would put that monologue right upside when Ricky Gervais.
That was brilliant.
Brutal. Yeah.
That was brutal, and I think we just love it when one of their own pokes themselves in the eye, because there was probably a lot of really uncomfortable. I have to laugh. There are cameras because I can't make it clear that I might be on the list. I might have been in those papers because I don't know what the number is that's been released at this point of the Epstein files. But a whole lot of it is just big, blank, blacked out sheets. That's all it is. So they're saying, look, we're releasing it, but the entire thing is blacked out. I'm like, you didn't really release it.
That's how you know the climate change does not matter, because they are using lots of black ink on these papers.
A huge amount of it, which, still tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of pages still to go.
Yeah.
That we may or may not get.
We are still not fully done with all of the releases yet.
But and that's the thing is, this is getting pushed off for the headlines.
Mm-hmm.
Think about all the massive major stories that have happened. Venezuela. You've also got, Iran that's happening. Now we're talking about possibly knocking over Cuba.
And Greenland.
Greenland. You're talking about, the Minnesota fraud. You're talking about the shooting of the protester when she was when she was in the process of running over the police officer. And you've got all of these things, and they're all legitimate, huge, major headline news, but they're pushing the Epstein stuff off of the headlines. And that's just the way you only have one top story. You can only have one. That's math.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that she was poking at it, I didn't hear the rest of it. I think Nikki Glazer's, funny. I think she gets a little gross for my taste. But when I was 26, I would have thought everything she said was hilarious. Now I'm 54 and I'm like,
Well,
but she's funny.
Yeah, and it's very refreshing to actually have somebody that still understands what's on our minds. It's one thing to grandstand it or to try to twist it for a political win on one side or the other, but this seemed very nonpartisan, just like a reminder, hey, folks, and also this is what we're saying, what we the people are saying about some of these people in this room.
And like I said, I don't know if the rest of her monologue or what the rest of her jokes are, because I probably couldn't even tell you who any of the nominees or winners are. I probably don't even recognize most of them at this point. I have gone so far out of my way to disconnect from Hollywood, culture. I just don't care. I may go to one or two movies a year, maybe.
God, I'm trying to think of the last time I saw a movie. It was
I saw Nosferatu last year.
Oh.
I went and saw that.
See, I didn't even know that was out.
Yeah, it was, I guess it was early. It was maybe last spring or something. It's been close to a year now because now it's on streaming. It's intense. It's not just a typical, Dracula movie. It's closer to the actual original Nosferatu story, which the creature is a grotesque monster, you know.
So not sparkling vampires and skinny
No,
jeans?
not a sexy, not a sexy, vampire one. But it was actually like the actual original, more of the original story.
I'll have to see if Joey V's got a movie review on that out.
Yeah,
yet.
it was. I think that was before he was doing the movie reviews. But it's not on. It just came out on streaming, I think, a few weeks ago. But I saw it in the theater. It was pretty good. I actually thought that was a pretty good movie. But you got to be okay with some pretty, dark stuff.
Pretty draconian things.
Yeah, and it's pretty intense, and it's if you're squeamish, no, don't.